Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on an unusual time for my channel, anyway, Saturday at 2 o'clock. But this turned out to be a good time for everybody, and it's actually really nice for me, too, because I'll get a good night's sleep tonight. So I'm very, very excited. This is something that I've wanted to arrange for quite a while. We have an incredible artist with us today. She uses so many tools that I don't even want to go into it right now. We're going to talk about that in a second, and I'll leave that to her. But she has a mixed media approach that is absolutely fearless with just whatever tool it is that will best suit the job at the time. And as the kind of artist I am, I tend to, I'll find one tool or one brush or whatever it is, and I'll stick with that. And I just get really hidebound. You know, it's hard for me to break that. It's really exciting for me to have somebody on that will just try everything. And I'm excited to be able to give that a try myself. We also have Erick Grove with us.
Hello.
Erick will also be painting with us. And we have Jason Schechter from Essential Sequential, who's going to be reading off the questions, because I have been finding I can't paint and read questions at the same time. It's almost impossible. So I'm hoping this will make this a bit more of a smooth stream, and we'll be able to get more of your questions in. But without further ado, because I do this and I'm so sorry, I just end up going off on tangents, I want to introduce Bella Rachlin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm a big fan of your work. Ever since I got into comic books, I was stunned by your artwork. So I'm so thankful to be here. I'm very excited.
Well, thank you. So we are going to be painting Nightcrawler today, and we've all drawn our Nightcrawler, which we'll show you guys in just a minute. But I wanted to start with talking about some of your tools. So if we could just get a bit of a rundown of what you're using. While Bella's doing that, I'm going to switch my camera. So we're going to give you the screen.
Awesome.
There we go.
Hello. Okay, so I'll be using first Copic Markers. I'm using a variety of colors to color Nightcrawler, and I'm gonna do some pinks, some purples, like a mixture of fun, bright colors to make him really pop out of the page. And I absolutely love Copic Markers because they're very high quality and they last years. I've had this set for more than a decade, and you can refill those and even change the tips of the marker whenever they start to just fall apart.
And we were talking just before we started about how color fast they are over time.
Yeah, I love these markers because they last.
Yeah.
On the piece of paper, they just last years.
I know that there was a time that markers really got a bad name because they would just fade almost right away, and people would buy art and it would just be gone. But with Copics, they've been around for a long time, and that just has not been an issue at all. So they're very archival, which is a huge bonus.
Yeah, they're incredible. I don't know what's inside the pigment that is just staying for ages. Also, if you store it properly, then it can just last forever. So that's not an issue with the Copic markers that they can fade. And also, we'll be using watercolors. I'll be using the Winsor Newton tubes, and I like the combination of mixed media because it gives it a really interesting effect, almost as if it's digital in a way or painted. And I'll be using watercolor-based colored pencils.
All right.
I have a mixture over here, and also I'll be using Posca Markers. These are acrylic-based markers. And last thing, I'll be using liquid acrylic.
All right.
Yes.
I think the only thing we're missing is oil and egg tempera.
Right. And do you want me also to explain about the paper that I'll be using?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is my favorite paper. It's Arches paper for watercolors. It's 300 grams and it's cotton paper. So it basically fits for everything. It can fit acrylics. It can even fit oil colors, although I'm not using them much. And it's the best for the mixed media because it's great with markers. Also, it's hot pressed, so it doesn't have any texture on it, so you can sort of do really fine lines.
I found that out, both Eric and I did, from Greg Staples, really just a couple of months ago. And I had no idea you get watercolor paper that's not really textured. I didn't know that that was possible. So it's made
really?
a huge difference for us too. So, and that's what you're using that too, right, Eric?
Yes, yeah. It's basically all I use unless I'm oil painting. It's great paper, super versatile.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. So here, I'm gonna go ahead.
So I'm gonna switch my camera to the table, right?
Okay.
Awesome. And can I switch the selfie mode? I don't know.
Yeah, there should be a little button that has a little reverse camera on there.
And Eric, while we're doing that, can we see how your underdrawing is looking?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
There we go. Nice.
It's not letting me switch, so I'll just do this. Okay.
All right. And quickly, while you're getting that set up, I wanted to show you guys this. I'm a little torn, Eric. I don't know, but the fact is that I've been looking at Kevin Nolan for years and years and years, and this is my favorite Kevin Nolan book. And I have stolen lighting from this stuff for years. I mean, so there's other artists too. I mean, and this is what you have to do, whether it's photographs or whatever. But yeah, anyway, the lighting on that face, I've been using my whole career. I got to tell you right now, and I wanted to use it for this one here, and so I did. So it's actually it's off the camera, so it's actually pretty close. But that was kind of the idea. And
yeah, I took one from another panel as well.
Yeah,
David and I were working. Yeah, no one beats Kevin Nolan's core shadow.
Right. But I wanted to show you guys that because, yeah, we do it all the time. I don't work in a bubble whatsoever. And while I can draw that, I've drawn this kind of lighting so many times, I can do it on my own, sure. But I like to go back to the source a lot. And I wanted to show you guys that. So, all right, I think we're all set to go.
Okay, is this good? Please let me know.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I move it more upwards or downwards?
Up a little, if you can.
How's that?
We got most of it. We got most of it there.
Yep. And we have a little bit of skull too, so.
Oh. Okay, cool. All right. I can also zoom in and make the camera go closer to the artwork, or like even a little bit above.
Yeah, I think that looks great. And
yeah,
awesome. Okay.
And we wouldn't want to zoom in too much right now because I'm guessing that what you're going to do to start is going to be a little more broad.
Yes. I'm not going to focus on the tiny details at the moment. I'm saving it for later.
All right. And I really like how tonal it is already. That's something I just cannot draw that way. I've tried, and it's so difficult. I've just had drawing with heavy blacks burned into my head for so many years that I'm a little stuck with it.
I actually struggle on the opposite direction. I'm struggling with the heavy blacks, and I find it difficult to make very distinct shadows and stuff. So.
Yeah, there's never like the perfect solution. We have a question from Tomacart asking, I've been doing ink wash. Is Arches paper good for the ink wash?
Yes.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah, and you won't get much better.
Yeah.
How come you guys decided on Nightcrawler?
Bella did. So we decided to go with it. Yeah, we asked her what she would like to draw, and she said Nightcrawler, and we both liked the character, so it was pretty easy. Yeah.
Also, Bella's been very nice to us too, because both Eric and I struggle a little bit more painting women, truthfully. So this is kind of putting us a little more in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
I saw you both draw women, and it looked great. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I have a lot of fails with it.
Bella, is Nightcrawler your favorite character?
One of my favorites. I like Storm, Magneto, Gambit. Almost all the X-Men. I mean, they're
Good.
so cool. Nightcrawler too. The list is just very long, so there's not like one particular character.
You must be pretty excited for the cartoon coming out.
Oh yes, it looks great.
Good, good.
Okay,
So
so
here's a
should I
banger
start?
question. Yeah, go ahead. We have a question from Brave, and he asked, "What is the secret to color theory?"
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, well, the secret for that is basically learn from nature, see how like actually color looks in nature. You can exaggerate it a little bit, but if you use nature as reference, it's always a great source for color combinations. And obviously, like if you study the color wheel, it helps too to understand colors better. Yeah, using reference for inspiration really helps.
Wow, that's great.
Okay.
And Henry Jeremick wanted to I just want to say this quickly. He wants you to come back again already. We haven't even started yet, but he wants you to come back. He wants you to draw a full body predator. So I wanted to get
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
I'm
I don't know if
ready.
we can do that in 2 hours. Oh, look at that. You are. Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, I'm all ready. Okay, I have more predators, but I'll start coloring.
All right, great.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with lights first, and then I'm gonna go to the dark areas.
All right.
So I'll be starting with this color, BV34.
Didn't pull that one. Let me see.
You can start with whatever purple or blue that you have that is kind of light and not too dark.
Yeah, I've got a BV04.
I have it too, but it's a bit dark, so
Is it dark? Okay.
Just a tiny bit dark.
I've got a lighter one. All right, here we go.
Okay.
You always go from light to dark.
Yes, I find it easier because then the blending is perfect, but it's not always. Also, there's another reason for that. The markers, if you put a light shade over the dark shade, then the darker shade gets lightened with the alcohol marker. It leaves like this kind of a blotchy effect, which could be cool, but I prefer going from light to dark to avoid it.
Okay.
That must have been a lot of trial and error when you were starting.
Yes, definitely.
So BV34 is your light, okay? Is that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Cass was asking if David, you can show your studio workspace, but it doesn't seem like you are set up for that at the moment.
Not at the moment. And if I spent a little bit of time cleaning my studio today, so it wouldn't be as dire as it can be, but it still could use a little more cleaning before I start running a camera around in it.
Bella, you're leaving some white of the paper open, is that right?
Yes. At the moment, I'm leaving the highlight areas light, and then I'm gonna go over it with a lighter tone and connect everything together, and then I'm gonna jump into the dark areas. This is just for me to mark the areas, so I won't lose the shadows that I already drew. Like I've marked them on his face, like the edges and the lights.
It's an advantage of using the grayscale under rendering that you did.
Yeah, this way I don't have to look at the reference every second. And it's just easier because I already figured out where everything is, and I just follow these guidelines.
What are you using for reference?
A bunch of things. I have 2 apps, one on the iPad and one on the computer, and they're just very, very stiff. So I'm combining it with pictures online and action figures. So on the computer, I'm using Daz, if you guys know it.
Yes.
DAZ.
Yep.
And on the iPad, I'm using Art Pose Pro.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good one. It's just sometimes it's a little bit weird. I don't know, some of the movements, they look very stiff, and not always it gets it right, the anatomy. But
yeah, Magic Pose is pretty good too.
What?
Magic Pose. I think it's
called
Magic. Yeah.
I haven't heard about this one yet. I need to check it out.
Adam is asking, do you encounter problems with graphite smearing with the Copics?
I used to, but I figured it out. What I like doing with the graphite, so I go over the graphite parts first, and I kind of smudge it in the direction that I want it to go, and it creates like a texture underneath the marker, and I like this effect. So if you smudge it in the right direction, it's not a big deal. And later on, if there's a little bit of graphite on the tip of the marker, you can clean it with either alcohol or marker refill.
I will say that the Arches is working really well with Copic.
Isn't it? This works so much better than last time we used Copics. We used just Bristol, and this is like, seriously, it's like magic. I love it. Yeah, this is working really well.
It's incredible. It's a smooth surface, and it absorbs the markers perfectly. Not too much, not and they don't like stay on the surface. It's not glossy. It's perfect for it.
Mm-hmm. And they just have a smoother look to me. Looking at it, it looks very, very smooth.
Oh yes.
Something that I've really struggled with markers before is they can start to look blotchy. I'm sure a lot of that's technique. I know it's technique. I've seen it done beautifully on any kind of paper, but this is making it easier. So.
Yes, and it's also the paper. When it's so high quality, it goes well with any medium you choose to work on it.
Do you feel like the Arches is very thirsty? Do you have to refill a lot? Because it's sucking the ink out of the...
Not the 300 grams. If you try using the 600 grams, then yes, it absorbs all the alcohol, and then you need to go over it again and again.
Mm.
So this is the perfect weight of the paper.
Gotcha.
We've got a question: is what is this magic paper, and where can I get it? What brand?
It's Arches hot press. You can, in the States, you can get it at Michael's. You can get it at most art stores.
In Canada, you can get it on Amazon. It's so hard to find.
You can get it anywhere.
Yeah, well, where I am, I'm in a small town. If I was in Toronto, sure, but I'm in a small enough town that it's hard to find.
Yeah, no, I meant you can get it online. It's very easy to find it. A lot of art shops online, they keep this kind of paper. Okay, I'm moving on to the lighter tone.
Which one's that, Bella?
It's BV00. I want to mix everything together, and then I can go over with more layers of Copic.
Gotcha. So you use this to blend what you've just put down as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Dang it, that means I'm already breaking the rules. All right, I'll go with lighter tone.
You can break the rules. That's okay.
The point is to try to, do it properly at least.
Yeah, the thing is, with this stage, the focus is on markers. So for the mixed media effect, it doesn't matter like that much because we're gonna go over this with a few more mediums.
Okay.
So don't worry about it.
It makes it a really forgiving approach, actually, I think.
Yeah, you can make mistakes and fix them on the way. But of course, it's better not to make mistakes. I'm just saying it. If you did, don't freak out.
You heard it from Bella. Don't make mistakes.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. I'm gonna save this side and the edges side for some of the pink lighting that I wanted to do, because I want him to have his how do you say it, like his teleporting powers in the background.
His BAMF effect. Actually, we had somebody in the chat ask if we were going to do the BAMF, so at least it'll be in there a little bit.
It will be in there in colors and energy.
Yeah. Which is great, because there are characters that both Eric and I are very afraid of, like Psylocke, because of that energy effect, and it's a tougher thing to do. It alters the lighting quite a bit.
Yeah, I was very scared at first to use this kind of crazy colors, but after some trial and error, I figured that it's fun. So
It's only Oh, sorry, I was just going to say it's only fun when you start getting the hang of it. Then it's fun. Until then,
Yes. Yes. At first, it's very, very freaky and scary.
Yeah,
Okay.
good way to say
So I'm gonna switch to the crazy color now.
okay. All right.
The
All
pink
right.
crazy color.
Pink. Let's see. I know I've got one.
it. So they're using that for more of the rim light. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna use it for the highlights, and sometimes I start from the crazy highlight, and then I do this part. And for this part, I wanted to make sure that all the graphite will just stay and not smudge with the highlights. So this is why I started with the purples first. Okay. So for this highlight, I'm gently marking the areas that I left for the highlights.
I
And
really
that's-
need to slow down and watch.
What color is that? Is that RV? That looks
That's
like a red.
RV04.
Gotcha. Okay. See if I can
Okay.
get that.
So I'm not going like all over the white. I'm doing it on the edges between the shadow to the light.
And why are you doing it that way? Why are you not going all the way through?
Because the light that reflects on him is very bright, so
Okay.
it won't be like exactly this entire tone. So I'm gonna mix it with a darker, a lighter pink
Okay.
Copic, and it's gonna blend all together. Because if you do like with this crazy pink, it's gonna be very difficult to make it lighter with Copics. You'll have to
Yeah.
use other mediums,
Which
which is
I'm
possible too.
gonna have to do because I've already gone ahead and completely made that mistake. But it's all right because we do have
No,
other
it's
mediums.
all right. Yeah, we have more mediums, so we can make it lighter later on with the Posca and the colored pencils.
Mr. Boss asks if you can share some tips for mixing colors effectively and achieving the desired results. Now, and again, it is such a broad question, Mr. Boss, and it is a good question, but it's incredibly difficult to answer thoroughly.
That is true.
So, I'm sure as we go along through this, you'll be talking about the color and how it goes together and how you use it. And, I'm sure that's already, I think it's been pretty instructive.
Yeah, well, for a better blending, I guess you have to work quickly with the markers because the alcohol gets dry in them. So it's best if you do it the first blending effect kind of quickly. Still possible to do it when it's dry. It's just easier when the marker is not fully absorbed into the paper. Okay. And I'm gonna use the lighter tone now.
All right.
Now, when I do the lighter tone and I see some graphite, I smudge it in the way, like the direction that I want, so it won't smudge in an ugly way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
This high level of saturation is definitely tricky.
Yes. Yeah, that specific marker is very, very saturated, so I use it very gently. I don't go crazy with it.
Do
Although
you
it could be cool.
do you have a color wheel that you keep nearby, or do you just know by?
No, I have nearby some references that I like pictures that I saved on my computer and books. Okay. I'm gonna go over all the areas with the crazy pink, and I'm gonna blend it.
We have Spidey hits here.
It's Justin. Yeah.
I know. We have Justin here. Good to see you. And Anthony G. And Henry, obviously. Dan Genovese is here. And Russ Hicks is here. Russ, thank you so much for making this one. I really, really appreciate it. I know this was a little bit tougher for you to get out here. So we'll have to make it home to be able to do this. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Larry Lambert is here. And One Mighty R. I was, yeah.
Brave is asking, what was it like making your first comic?
Well, and before that, we also have Tagamo Model Works here. Great to see you. We don't always, for a while we were getting Tagamo pretty regularly, but I think the schedule has been a little tougher. So it's great to see you here, Tagamo. Well, okay. Now for me, the first time I ever drew my own full comic was a nightmare. It was awful, and nobody made it a bad experience for me. They were great. I was working at Top Cow. I did an issue of Cyberforce. It was a Cyberforce annual, and Mark Silvestri is the artist of Cyberforce, and I couldn't help but compare myself to that, and I drove myself crazy, like an idiot. So, how about for you, Bella? It was the first time doing like a cover. Like you've done a lot of trading card work.
It was actually very fun because it's only one piece and not a set of pages, and I can only imagine how stressful it must be to have like a certain amount of pages, comic book pages to finish. My first published cover was in 2016, and it was very fun. I also had some time to finish it. It wasn't like from today to tomorrow. I had like a couple of months, so I took my time, and it was nice. It was nice. It was a nice process. But today, when I look back, it looks awful.
But that's really the goal. You want it to look awful. If it looks great, then you haven't gotten better.
Yeah, true. It's so awful to look back, but it's part of the process to get better.
Yeah.
And this is what I like about doing like single covers or pinups, that it's much more fun to put all the energy into one piece, and I really enjoy coloring. And I tried doing comic book pages, but it's a lot, and it's stressful, and it's fun.
Love it. Yeah, I really do love it. And I started getting into a rhythm, especially after like issue 2 or 3 of a book, and everything gets comfortable. I really get to know the characters, and I do really enjoy it. And I miss it. I haven't done it for a little while, but I do like having more time.
Oh, of course. And your comic book pages are incredible.
Thank you very much, Paula. Appreciate it.
Okay. I continue with the shades that I used before, just to blend everything together a bit more before I go over to the darker shades. So I'm back to BV34.
All right.
Here's a question on any tips for character design. I don't know if there's a quick way to answer that.
Okay, well, we're not really covering that today. That's definitely not what we're doing. But I will say this. Okay, so the best character designs are they really describe exactly what the character is about. You get a sense of who that character is right away, and they also are readily and easily identifiable from a distance or even from a silhouette. It's not always the case, but I mean, the best character designs like Batman or Spider-Man, you can tell that character from a silhouette, which is or Spawn is a great example of that. I think those are always the strongest, and they end up being the most iconic. So, thinking in those terms and not getting too bogged down in tiny little detail, but you really want to think in terms of like big detail that really sells what that character is. And it's the toughest thing to make a character that's cool looking and is memorable and original and easy to tell from a distance. I don't know. It's beyond me. I've designed a lot of characters, and I don't know if I've ever hit that goal.
What's been your favorite character that you've designed so far?
I don't know.
What's the worst one?
Okay, I'm going to go with Blight because I want to do more with them. So I'm gonna pitch my current one, Light. Maybe Aphrodite 9, I think. I liked a lot.
So Bella, which color is the darker that you're going for? Is that BV08?
No, I'm using the B34 right now. It's still kind of light. It's not the
Oh,
darkest tone
you
yet.
haven't switched to the darker value yet?
I switched to a bluer tone, so it will look more like Nightcrawler. So I'm trying to go and mix it together.
We have a comment from Echo Albino, and Echo says, Bella is one of the most amazing mixed media artists out there. Seeing her painted work of comic characters really reassures me that traditional art never dies in this age of modern digital tools.
Oh, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. So kind. Okay.
Any idea when the Blight comics on coffee is coming out?
I need to talk to Comics on Coffee. That's actually, as I was cleaning my office, I moved a box that I got from them, and I thought I need to email them and get that set up. We're going to do a live stream for that, and I would like to do that as soon as possible. So that should be soon. Yeah, I am still drinking my Comics on Coffee coffee. Comics on Coffee. You know what I mean? It's great stuff. So. And we have a super chat from Rex Comic Art for $1.99 with no chat. So Rex, if we missed it, oh, he says, thanks for replying. It really helped. Well, there you go. That was a thank you. And thank you very much, Rex. I appreciate it. And by the way, please don't feel obligated to super chat, especially these kinds of streams. It's always, I hate to miss them. So. I can't believe how beautiful all that pink, like I lost all of that.
No, yours is looking great. I love the orange effect. It makes it feel like it's coming out of an explosion, which is so cool.
Well, thank you, Bella. But the way that you lit yours, I think, is I've never lit something like that. I've never, and that's like a real ambient lighting that's affecting his whole, like while he's got a core shadow, you can see that he's blue, but it really looks like he's in a whole environment that's affected by it. And that's something I've never done. And I will say, I'm enjoying this. I already am happy with what I'm doing, but I wish I could have captured some of that. And I'd like to try this again and see if I can get some of that. It's just not something I've ever been able to do.
Don't worry, because we're going to do that with the colored pencil. So don't lose hope yet. It's going to look very cool with the Posca and the colored pencils. And it's already amazing. Like, oh my God, those oranges. Yes. Okay. Now I'm going to move to some darker shades. Okay. So also the reason I'm always starting with the face is to focus all the energy on it, because this is the focus point of the piece of paper. It's a portrait, so it's important for me to put the best efforts into this area, into the facial expression, into the colors, and the rest is a bit more loose. This is the most important part. Okay, right. So I'm gonna go and switch to BV 04, and then I'm gonna start with his hair afterwards with C7. So BV 04 first.
That's actually the one that I had.
Yes, it's funny because it doesn't look so dark, but it's much darker than
it really doesn't.
The rest of the purples.
Yeah. I think they kind of blew the packaging on that one just a little bit.
Yeah, that's the mistake I did as well, because I ordered this one online and I was like, hey, it's dark. But it worked out well because I really like this shade.
You just end up using it for different things than you were planning.
Yep. I'm using it for shadows instead of highlights.
Yeah.
So I was using BV08. It's the only one I have on hand, and it seems to be okay. You just got to blend like crazy.
BV08?
Yeah.
I mean, this one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very cool too. It's pretty dark, but I like it.
Tagmo Waterworks has a $10 super chat. Thank you so much again, Tagmo. He says, I've been watching, but I've been drawing at the same time and not chatting as much. You could have done Kurt's mom for a woman. Thanks, Bella. And thanks, Dave and Eric, and all you do. And Tagmo, like I said earlier on, we're mostly not doing a woman because Eric and I are afraid of it. Afraid of doing it live. So, yeah.
There's a question about how your creator-owned project is coming along, Dave.
Actually, really, really well. I have all of the script for it. I have everything I need. And so the unfortunate part is the last little bit of script I didn't have. And so it kind of took the back seat for a bit, but I'm running through it now, and it'll be finished soon. I've been saying that. I know I've been saying it for ages, but it's coming. I'm almost done.
Ooh, what is it about?
I can't talk about it, which is
okay.
I haven't been able to talk about it for years. I've been working on this like one book for years. Long time.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to see it.
Well, thank you.
Me too.
Okay.
There's a question on how does someone from another country submit their portfolios to DC or Marvel?
I will admit that actually, Bella, you're not North America, so how would you go about it?
I did it physically. I actually went to America and just went to a convention and asked for portfolio reviews from anyone who agreed to do it, and it really helped. And it was worth the entire flight and travel just for that. And my first portfolio review was done by Neil Adams.
Oh wow, yeah, he's a hard one.
Yeah, but he was very strict, but he spent 25 minutes explaining stuff, and I was so appreciative of his time and also effort, because he spent it's quite a lot of time, 25 minutes. Like he ignored clients and stuff just to help me find my direction. So that was an incredible moment.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he had a real reputation for being very bluntly honest and rude, even, I guess, depending on your perspective. When it's your work, it sounds rude when somebody
yeah, but it's the thing that you need to hear to know what to do and what to fix, and sometimes people are just too nice. So I found it very, very helpful that he just said very bluntly what to do, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Griever has a super chat. Love Bella's work. Outstanding inspiration from her process vids. What conventions are you attending, Bella? How does one get on your commission list?
First of all, thank you so much. Conventions, I don't know if I'll be visiting this year the States. Hopefully I will. And for commissions, you can just reach out on my shop page on Instagram or my main page, and I can send the rates, and that's it. It's very simple.
Do you sell your art right from your site?
Yes, right from the IG shop page.
Very good. I might need to check that out.
Eric is so quiet. I can tell he's working like crazy. So let's see how it's. I'm dying to see how it's coming on here.
Yeah, I'm on a struggle bus.
All right, let's see.
I'm curious too. Can I see?
Trying to add the very hot highlights, but yeah, I can already tell I'm gonna have to need. I'm gonna have to need a lot of work done to it. But I can't get these bright enough.
Oh, nice! It looks great. You don't need to get them brighter for this part. They're gonna be brighter later on with the rest of the mediums. So that's why we have the colored pencils and the Posca markers. So don't worry about it. Looks good.
Yeah.
Donation is looking great, David.
Oh,
nice work, Eric.
Every time I think I'm done. Okay, let's move on. You do something else, and then I'm like, okay, I should probably do a little more, and it helps. All the layering really does make a big difference. I'm just so lazy. I really think a big part of the reason why my pictures don't work when they don't work is I don't know what I'm doing, but I also just don't have the patience to just keep working on it and seeing it through, and I just start getting miserable about it and walk away.
I can understand it. I felt this way with certain mediums that are very difficult to work with, like oil paints at first. When you just get used to it, it's a difficult process. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
But
the
first
hardest
of all,
one?
I've never seen artwork done by you that looked like it's not great and stunning. So
Well, thanks.
Is oils the hardest to work with?
I think so because of the mediums that you need to combine with it, the turpentine and the diluting kind of mediums, that they're just a bit difficult. They're not very good for you to breathe them, so you need like an open space, and you need to constantly take care of the brushes, or else the oil paint will just destroy the brush. And also it takes a long time for it to dry, so for me it was difficult just to wait, and I ruined a couple of paintings because I didn't wait long enough, and literally ruined them. So I learned that it's just need to be very patient with oil colors.
Yeah, Eric has actually been using some oil lately. He's been doing like an acrylic underpainting and then using oil, and beautiful results. And I just
Oh, nice.
I can't do it. Not this.
Yeah, so Bella, you can actually get to a point where you don't need terps at all. You can actually just use. I can explain some more, but you can actually clean brushes with oil. So a lot of people have switched to non-toxic oil painting. You can actually do quite a bit without any turpentine or mineral spirit.
Oh wow, I heard about it, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, there's also water mixable oils as well, like Cobra
Ooh.
and Holbein, Winder and Newton.
Spidey
I
hits.
should try.
Justin says, David, this face profile seems to be a popular choice for you. Is it because you're left-handed? It is. I tend to draw my faces facing that way because I'm left-handed, and I have a real tendency to go with that angle. And I have to like remind myself, you know what? You got to change it up sometimes. You can't just draw the same. It's not like I can't draw a different angle. I just keep doing it.
Oh,
Need to be aware of
I
it.
didn't know that.
You know who uses those pink colors really well is Stelfreeze.
Yeah, he's great with it.
Oh wow, I love the video you guys did with him, the live stream.
That was so challenging.
Yes.
He's really, really good at that.
Yeah, his method is very interesting and very, very different, like with the fixative and the going back and forth with it. It's very interesting to see it.
DHR Fighter Studios says, about to start going live on here tomorrow. It's time. Well, I wish you all the best luck in the world. It's rewarding for me. I love doing this. I would never have the chance to be able to sit down and completely start my picture the wrong way. There's so many things that you're doing with yours, Bella, that again, I'm going to try this again. And I say this all the time, and I actually have done it. I've done a few of these where I've had a guest on and I find myself just rushing through, and then I just want to step back and really try and absorb it just a little bit more, get more out of it. But yeah, I love doing live streams for this.
Oh,
Henry's asking if you're doing Nightcrawler's classic black and red costume.
Yes. Well, I am.
Yes, me too.
And Spidey would like a magic sketch from you one day.
Oh, Magic is awesome. I love her.
JH is asking, really nice to see David and Bella in action. Amazed with details and color choices. Bella, what kind of pencil do you use? Those you blend for skin tones.
Pencils, like the colored pencils or the graphite pencils? I'm sorry.
He didn't specify.
So for colored pencils, I'm using Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils and sometimes Faber-Castell pencils. And for the sketch, I'm using H and HB pencils, and also a black wing pencil for the darker lines. Okay, I'm gonna color his hair. Oh, wait. So when I'm doing the pink effects, I always think where the light source is coming from. And instead of just, leaving it white on the hair, because the hair is darker than his face, then I mark it with the pinks, and then I'm gonna add the dark tones to his hair.
Mighty's asking what number was the two blues David used.
I used BV04, but I waited just a little bit, and then I've got, let's see, B00 and B24. I don't know. Oh wait, I've got B32 and one more, BG10. I just kind of basically used whatever is here. I don't know what I'm doing, so.
Remember when someone asked before, has things gone south on the stream before?
You're feeling that way?
Oh, yeah. Yes. But I'm trying to commit to the process, and we'll see what happens at the end. Just these very saturated colors. It is really tricky because you got to make sure that all your values are right and everything's gelling. But,
We have.
I would definitely say Bella is knows how to do that for sure.
We have It's Art by Martin here, who won the Spawn cover challenge.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's great.
Good, great.
That's incredible.
Yep.
No,
So many people submitted. I saw so much great stuff.
I wanted to participate, but I had deadlines, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday I'll do something for Spawn. It's one of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am lucky enough to do a couple of covers for Spawn over the years, but that's all I've ever been able to do. It'd be nice to do like a story or something one day.
I've seen the artwork that you did. It's incredible. I actually have it saved for inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Did that painting you do get used, Dave? I can't remember. I think there was a live stream that might have gotten used, right?
There was a live stream, but I
Can't remember. It was a while ago.
I'm under contract. I can't do that. Basically, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it was just a commission. I have to admit, on his hand, my collection of Posca color or Copic colors are so limited that I'm kind of just throwing some stuff in, and I figure when we do the watercolor, I can just tone it. That's my hope.
Oh yeah, of course. Watercolors, and also with the color pencils, we can just go over everything.
Yeah.
Question for Bella. When you do blank sketch covers, do you ever have issues with the paper quality? Taking
Yes.
different mediums? If so, do you have to alter your process at all?
Yes, and yes. Yeah, some sketch covers are very, very glossy, or sometimes the paper doesn't look glossy, but then it's not suitable for markers or watercolors. So when it happens, I use either Posca markers or acrylics. Posca markers really fit everything. You can use them even on glass surface.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
yeah, so it happened, and then luckily I had a lot of shades of Posca markers, and I kind of saved it.
Sorry,
Oh, was that yours?
that was my dog.
Oh,
Drake says, "Great job, David and Bella. The artwork is awesome."
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Dan says this stream is very valuable to me because I really want to get good at using Copics. I'll be rewatching this video many, many times. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I'm really enjoying this, and I could just do a stream on how to use Copics. I don't know what I'm doing, so to have Bella here doing this and really showing you guys the kind of advanced technique that you get from years of practice, it's
Yeah, the other gentleman who uses these amazingly is Chris Stevens. Have you ever seen?
Oh
his?
yeah.
yes,
It's like
Yeah.
bananas. That
yeah.
He uses that. And he uses the Molotov, which is kind of like a Posca equivalent, I guess, right there. Is that right?
I don't know. It's just it's like magic.
Yeah, I think he uses the Molotov acrylic markers as well. And yeah, it's very good.
Mr. Boss is asking, have you ever made a mistake during a live drawing session?
Who are we asking here? Bella, have you ever made a mistake during a live session?
Yes, I think so. Maybe lives that I did on Instagram or YouTube. But it's not a big deal. I mean, with the mixed media, you can fix it right away or in later stages. So I'm not freaked out because I did so many mistakes over the years with these mediums that I learned how to fix it later. So
Yep.
part of the process. And then I learned for next time what not to do. So it happens. Just not making a big drama scene from it.
Yeah, yeah. Throw your brushes in keyboard and run. Yeah.
Turning
Although
the table, living dramatically.
It'd make for an entertaining stream if we all did that.
Oh yeah, that could be fun. I want to flip the table and just leave.
Yep.
Okay.
Gab is asking, can I ask about this? What size paper is great for drawing? And two, I guess, for inking a black pen. All right, what size paper is good? I'm not sure I understand this question. What size paper is good to start, and also what's good for inking, I guess, with a black pen?
Okay, so the paper you want to start with if you want to draw comics is 11 by 17 with a 10 by 15 image area. That is for drawing an actual comic page. If you want to get started drawing, though, really any kind of paper that you're comfortable with, I'd recommend something smaller. You don't want to draw too big when you're really so much of starting drawing is just iteration. I mean, a lot of versions. So yeah, you don't want to go too nuts with a big piece of paper. I would recommend though you use the best quality paper you can reasonably afford, because it does make a difference in how the paper or the pencil goes on the paper. As far as pens go, there are a lot of different types of pens. I use a Micron. This is Micron 01, which I always show you guys upside down. That's a great one this is just a thin line pen. And then I use a brush with ink. I cannot find my Pentel. I actually inked this with a regular brush and like a dip brush because I couldn't find it. Still have no idea what I did with it. And then the one other pen that I use that works really well is covered in pencil shavings. It's this one right here. I turned it upside down. This is a Tombow. So I'd recommend those, but give a lot of things a try. Okay, this is where I am really wishing I had more than one red. I really have
for
nowhere
the
I can.
suit?
Yeah, like I wouldn't have put such a bright red on, but I have no options. So
Oh,
now
that's okay. Do you have a purple? A dark purple, maybe?
Yeah, not really. But as
Or
close to purple as I've got is that one. Blue.
so
have
what
blue.
I do whenever I struggle, so I always have like this small piece of arches next to me, and then I go over with the Copics and I make sure what happens when I mix those colors together.
Okay.
It's really useful. So, for example, this is a red, and I'm mixing it with a dark purple, and then you can blend it again. Looks great. It turns into dark red.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm just going to go ahead and just make all this red and deal with it. And then I've got this blue actually that really did work as a shadow. And then I'm going to do my highlights just opaque.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's my thinking. If this all goes south, everybody, I'm going to throw
Wow,
in
my
stuff.
red marker is totally dead. I've never seen this with a Copic before.
Oh no.
The tip is like it's like gummy. I've never had that before. It's totally dead.
Wait, what happened?
It's the tip of my Copic marker is like glue.
Oh,
It's like gum. It's very strange. I guess it's dried. I didn't think they could dry out, but
Apparently they can.
yeah.
oh yeah, it happens if the color is very dark. I actually have a dried one right here that I don't use anymore. It dried up so quickly. It's like stone.
Yeah. That's
Black
what it's
marker.
like gummy.
So when this happens, it's very difficult to save it. I tried several times. It mostly happens with really dark colors because the pigment is so saturated.
Okay, I'm gonna have. I'll just see if I can rescue it with paint or something.
There's a question here from Schubert. David, is it common to be better with grays and bad with colors? How do you approach coloring?
It is actually very common to be better with grays and bad with colors. I will say if you're going to be better with one thing over the other, you're better to be good with grays because all coloring really rests on a foundation of tone and value, value, I guess. And so being good at value is really, really important. And then color, I wish there was just a really quick way for me to explain color theory right now, but I will say this: you've got your color wheel, and you've got red and blue and yellow. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. I'm having to think about it. And yellow and blue gets green. So you can get your color wheel, your basics, your primaries and secondaries that way. If you want to make a color darker, like a green, if you want to make it darker, you can actually add red, and it will darken it down. Also, it will heavily desaturate it because any color that is opposite from a color on the color wheel will mix with that color and create a gray. That's a great way to do it, So, or you can just use black. There are times if black can really deaden colors though. So sometimes it's useful. Like red with black, actually, to darken red, it works. For me, it works. But I'm not an expert. So, yeah, you know what? I really recommend James Gurney is great. He's got a YouTube channel that you can check out. It's a lot of great color stuff. It gets very advanced though, and there are a lot of great resources out there. RC asks what type of markers you're using.
We went over that already.
Yes, Copic Markers. Yeah, a lot of times people will come in just a little bit later, and while we've discussed it,
Yeah, they missed it. The introduction part.
The beauty of Copic Markers I'm finding, Bella, is that you can get really consistent color, and this is what I like about colored pencils too. You know exactly what you're going to get when you put it down. There's so much control.
Yes, there's not big surprises, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Although sometimes if you do experiments, of course, with very different colors, then you'll get big surprises, which is cool too. Depends on the outcome.
Yeah, yeah, really. Happy accidents are great.
Yeah.
Okay. Extreme is asking, can you reactivate alcohol markers with alcohol?
Kind of.
Rarely. Sometimes it really depends on the marker and how long it's been dry. I've tried it. It only worked on a light green marker for me. This one. This one was dry, and I managed to save it. But then I had to switch to a new tip because the tip already got damaged from being dry for so long. But luckily, the marker itself survived, so that was good. But with the dark markers, I had to throw out uh, one, and probably the black marker I'll have to throw it out because it's just not savable.
So you have to maintain these, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And how do you maintain them properly outside of, I guess, using them frequently?
Using them and refilling them when they get dry. Just refill them.
The other guy, Adam Hughes, does Copics really well.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yes. Oh wow.
He does everything so well, though.
Well, that's true. He's bananas, that guy.
Bananas.
Bananas.
I love this expression. It's so silly.
Have you asked Adam to come on? That'd be great.
Oh
No.
wow.
Bella, can you recommend anything for fixes like a whiteout type product? I know markers don't work on top of a lot of products.
Wait a second. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Can you recommend anything for fixes like a whiteout type product?
Fixes? You mean
For errors, for corrections.
Posca Markers?
Posca, yeah.
Yeah, Posca Markers. They save the day.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And acrylics too. If it's really bad, you can save everything with acrylics. But I like Posca Markers, and actually colored pencils too. You can go over it and just wash away the mistakes. Hide them under the carpet.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's
White
exciting.
it out, black it out, or white it out with a Posca marker.
Yes.
When you start working on your piece, do you just pick out your primary colors that you want to use, your purples and pinks and reds, and just stick with that? Or do you go, play it by ear? Oh, this might look good here. That might look good there.
I plan it ahead. I always do like a small test on a piece of paper, and I choose the colors. Sometimes I do a small thumbnail to see if it works, or even like a digital sketch just to see if the colors fit together. And then I always, like I said, I keep like a piece of paper, specifically arches, to see how it reacts. So
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. You'd want to see it on the same kind of paper you're going to ultimately use.
Yes, you want to see how it reacts. If you use a different kind of paper, sometimes the shades, they don't turn out exactly like you planned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's best to be prepared.
Gollum is asking, how often do you need to refill your markers?
When there's no more ink.
It depends on yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would depend on how much you use them.
Exactly.
The colors you use more, you're going to end up refilling more, and that makes sense to me.
Yes, that's exactly the answer for it. There are some markers that I rarely use, but I try to refill them every few months so they won't get too dry.
We have a question from Nemanja. I apologize, Nemanja. It says, question for Dave and Bella. What did you do to noticeably improve your inking aesthetic? Not sure if it's just drawing or technique that is my problem. Well, I'll say for me, first of all, technique definitely is a huge factor. You really need to know which way your hand moves naturally. Like if you see Bella working right now, you can see how she's running across her wrist that way. and it's a natural way to move. And if she needs to go in another direction, see how she just shifted her wrist there, and now she's again moving in a way that naturally suits her wrist. If you fight that, you will really struggle with inking a lot. And I see people do it quite a bit. I've done it before. So something to really be aware of is you really want to flow your hand along where it flows naturally. And just running a couple of lines a few different ways, you'll see where it's easier and it seems to flow off better. So, angle your paper, angle your hand. That makes a big, big difference. Bella, any advice on that one?
I couldn't give a better advice on what you just described. I think it explains it the best, because I still struggle with ink. I rarely do like the heavy inks. So I don't know why, but it's so permanent, the ink. So it takes me a while, and I use for big shapes, I use the French curves. So you described it much, much better than I did. Your advice is incredible.
Well, thank you. Yeah, French curves is good advice, so that's for sure. And I am always too lazy, so I end up with. But if I have to draw Captain America's shield, if I get it inked properly, it turns out great. If I do it myself, it's like this wobbly mess, and I'm too lazy to do it right. I don't think I have mentioned yet, but and I think it was mentioned, hopefully, but Bella has a YouTube channel that you can check out and see more of her work and tutorials on how she does what she does. And it's great to watch this picture here, and I feel like we're getting so much out of it, but there's always more techniques that come up with each picture. So definitely check out Bella's YouTube channel. We have it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Look at that. So I don't know if you guys noticed that. You see how much more professional we are now? Look at that. It's great. And I even have a little logo on the top of the screen. It's all the work of Jason Schachter. That's everything. There you go. That's the whole set. So now I forgot what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Doesn't matter.
Well, there was a question here, which was, there's a few of them. How to improve perspective drawing.
Okay, well, there are a few things. You know what, actually? To improve at perspective drawing, you need to learn the basic rules of perspective. I have a video on that. I highly recommend you check it out. It really shows you really from step one all the way through. If it doesn't click for you, definitely check out some other people's videos on it. There are people that do amazing tutorials for that. And you just need to understand the rules of how things work, the rules of 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. And then once you have that, it really comes down to being able to use it in a usable way for like a comic panel and that kind of thing, which is a whole other thing. To be able to see your shot in perspective, plan it out that way, it can be difficult. And I have a video on that too. So check out my channel. I've got a video on, it's called Perspective Hacks. And that is assuming that you know the basic rules of perspective, but it's just a really great way for you to simplify the process of using it in a comic.
I like Canetti does perspective really, very well.
Now he just eyeballs it, right?
I don't know. It's like another thing that seems like magic when he comes up with those different perspectives.
I know, that's why I say because that would be incredibly difficult just to get with a ruler. And that stuff, I will tell you guys right now, that is beyond me. I don't do that kind of, like, I do need to use a ruler. I just don't have the kind of skill that some artists just seem to, that they can just eyeball all of their perspective. It's incredible. Chris Samney does that, apparently. So I hear. All of his perspective is just made up. And by made up, he knows the rules. He knows the rules so well. Yeah, he has so much control over it. He doesn't need to go in there with a ruler and do all that stuff. And his stuff looks, you would never know it, but not a skill that I have.
No, perspective is difficult. Kim Jong-ji used to do crazy perspective
Yeah.
videos.
Maestro.
It's art by Martin says the book Space Drawing Perspective by Dong Ho Kim. Hopefully I'm saying that right, is awesome. So check that one out, everybody. And Dan Genovesi says, I like Joe Q's perspective. So do I. And Joe, his biggest trick is that he would actually break the rules of perspective. He was using linear perspective the way that I would, but he's very willing to go past really the rules for how much you can fisheye something out are kind of specific, and he would just go past that and make it amazing, beautiful stuff. Another thing I never really had the guts to do. So the way that you have your lights on his arm and then the shadows, you had that all planned in, kind of coming in, so you knew where your core shadow was going to be there. I think I can see it on the shirt there too. It's like
yeah, that's what I did with the pencils. I marked everything ahead because it's just easier to really fill in the colors this way, not check the reference every second.
Mm-hmm.
So I marked where I want the darker shadows, and every now and then I do check the reference though, just to make sure that I didn't I don't know, go too far from it, to make sure that it makes sense.
Hey, Jordan Seward's here. Good to see you, Jordan.
There was a question saying, sorry if this has already been discussed, but how do you avoid ink smudges? It seems that no matter how long I give the ink to dry, I still get smearing when I ink with a brush.
Okay, well, two things. So the first thing you want to do is, I'm a lefty, so I'll start at the right hand of the picture and kind of work my way left, so I'm not dragging my hand back over what I've already done. And then the other thing, and Bella will be doing this soon enough, once we go into some watercolor, use a hairdryer.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a hairdryer by your desk, and you want to get it to dry up so it's not going to cause a problem for you. Just give it a little quick. It doesn't take long. It takes a few seconds with a hairdryer.
I mean, I've seen guys wear those little sleeves on their hands.
That doesn't help with ink though, because you'll still smear it. With pencil, yes, absolutely, that'll help. But with ink, you can still smear it, so it can be a problem.
Extreme says, Bella, you're using both warm and cool colors. If you were to do a background, would it be more cool or more warm?
It would be, for this piece, I guess, warm, but I would still do like a little bit of cool in certain areas, just to combine everything together, because there are both cool and warms on him, like on his face. So I want everything to be kind of, I don't know how to say it, like, so it will just blend together, so everything will connect. Yes, that's what I want to say, connect. Because if you have it on his face, I mean, you can see that the pink is kind of warm and the purple is kind of cool, then it would just make sense to do it also on the background.
Mm-hmm. Schubert Rivez asks if you ever get comfortable with the screeching sound of markers.
Yes, I usually put music so I don't hear the markers that much.
So this is a big sacrifice for us right now, everybody.
Nah, it's okay. I don't mind the sound. I'm used to it.
Henry's asking, do you use colors to form shapes, like making wrinkles on a face?
Yes, of course. I like using the colors to do it because it makes it a bit more realistic. Looks more natural when it's not done with very sharp ink.
Yes.
But also it depends on the lighting. Sometimes it works really well with ink. So.
It can. It just makes a style. It makes it more of a comic book style.
Yes.
Who was your favorite artist when you were growing up, Bella?
Mine? Oh. She's still one of my favorites, Julie Bell.
Julie Bell.
Yeah, she's doing like these crazy fantasy paintings, which I discovered when I was a small kid. I just saw it in I think a record shop. Doesn't exist anymore.
Not many of those around.
No, I was just blown away by the art. I don't remember exactly which painting it was, but one of her beautiful fantasy paintings.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She's
Absolutely.
really, really good.
She's I think married to Boris Vallejo,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
legend.
Yep, and Dave Palumbo is their son.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's incredible. He's so good. I love Boris. I love his stuff. I think Julie's backgrounds I actually like more. Even like her skies are so vibrant. She does beautiful stuff.
Oh my God, yes, she's incredible. She's a master.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mr.
very
Boss?
nice too.
Honestly, I've never got to meet Dave Palumbo, Boris, or her. Maybe one of these days. Mr. Boss asks, "Have you ever done digital painting? If so, which one is easier for you?" Question for both Dave and Bella.
I did, and it was actually not that easy as I thought it would be. It still takes. I mean, it's not the same amount of time, but it's different because I still work with layers and I want to give it a painted effect. So I ended up spending almost the same amount of time as I would on a traditional painting.
And then without an original to sell. And there were NFTs for a little while there. And there were a few things, but for the most part, I don't know that it's too easy to replicate being able to sell original art.
I guess it depends
Yeah, it's different.
what the community likes, because we sold some of those back in the day.
Yeah.
But with digital currencies and stuff, I think things will eventually evolve depending on what buyers like.
I don't know. I feel like people still appreciate traditional
Oh,
arts
yeah.
a lot,
Absolutely.
so it's okay to stay in either one of those. You don't have to combine.
Rami says, "Did Bella have a preferred white media to use for highlights?"
So for highlights, I'm doing the colored pencils and the Posca markers, which I'm saving for later.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question if you know who Earl Norham is.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. No.
You should look up his stuff. There's all like older The Shadow and Doc Savage.
Oh, okay. I get exposed on this channel all the time just with the lack of knowledge that I have of so many incredible artists. Years ago, I know a lot, and I don't know so many, so I'll have to take a look.
Get with it.
I'll get with it.
There is a question from Griever. Bella, on your older videos like the X23 one, it seems you began with watercolor and then rendered out with Copics. Is there any reason we are doing the reverse today?
Yes. Okay. So sometimes it really depends on the effect that I want to do. When I started with the watercolors, it was very cool, but then I would find out that I still go over the figure with markers. So what happens then, sometimes you don't really see the watercolors underneath, and it just makes the process much, much longer. Sometimes it's really cool because it gives it a very unique texture underneath, but I figured that I prefer using the watercolors for the background. And only on like textured characters, like I don't know, textures like let's say a Ninja Turtle or maybe Hulk or some like characters that have some grit to them. Then I do the watercolors because it adds a lot to it. But on regular characters, it just makes the process very long, and it doesn't seem very beneficial to do it. It looks cool, it's fun, but I need my time. I need to save more time, so I'm focusing on like the best of everything, like the best outcome. So if I need to finish a piece and I can't spend too much time on it, I need to figure out how to do it the right way, and so it will look cool. And I just figured out that this works much better.
Yeah, I think the right process is always the one that gets the best result in the least time.
Yes.
So Eric, how's it coming along?
Looking a little bit better than it did. I'm trying everything in my power to rescue what I can now until.
Do you want to show the group?
Yeah, sure. Until we get to highlights, I'm trying to flatten everything back down.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better. I think
It looks totally different on this camera. There's saturation, but we'll get there.
Very nice.
Oh, cool. Looks great. I don't know why I see it in delay, but it looks great.
I've definitely Copic markered myself into a corner. So at this point, and once we, once we move on to watercolor, I'll pick it back up. This is so common for me. I don't know what I'm doing, and so I rushed through too fast.
It's pretty cool.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Well, really, thank you. But it has none of the subtlety of what you're doing, and that's just not knowing what I'm doing. If I knew how to do what you were doing, this would take me 3 times as long, and it would look so much better. But
so you don't have purples, right? So you did.
I don't have purple, but I do have purple. Well, I've got watercolor, so I can mix purple. So I'm kind of waiting, I think, at this point to start doing the watercolor stage. It's actually 3:21 now, and it's kind of crossed my mind, actually. I hate to see the rest of it get rushed through, and I was wondering if maybe you might consider coming back to do the watercolor and finish stage, because there's just so much to it, and I'd hate to just shortchange that.
Yeah, of course. Although I'm pretty sure we can finish it in another hour. So
Really? Okay.
yes, because I'm finishing up the character right now with the markers, and then we're gonna move on to colored pencils and Posca and watercolors and just a little bit of the effects. So I don't think there's a lot left.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
shortly
up to
after
you.
4, I'm going to have my wife coming after me. That's all. So I'm a little worried.
So it's up to you. If you guys want to continue on a different date, I'm okay with it.
I think everybody would like to see you continue. I think I'll have people pretty upset if we just said, we'll just stop there. So
don't worry, we're not gonna do it because well, I've finished almost the character, so we're almost there. And it seems like you finished with the Copic stage, which is great.
Well, as much as I could figure out how to do, yes.
So we're almost there.
All right.
Okay. Have you colored his eyes or not yet?
Not yet. I have forgotten. I don't think I've ever painted them before, and I don't know what color his eyes are. Yellow, I think? Maybe?
Yellow, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Thank you. That'll give me something to do.
Yeah, I haven't colored his eyes either, but I can do it now.
Dave, you don't normally use Copics. I haven't, or at least I haven't seen you use them frequently.
No, I don't. I'm really enjoying it, though. Color Copics, especially the red, was such a challenge. I only have red, period. And so Bella's advice to use purple, which I didn't have. I had blue, and that worked actually because it creates a purple. So it worked really well to darken it. I was so surprised that I thought that was going to turn into an absolute mess, and it worked out. So.
No, that's the magic with Copics. Even if you have just a bunch, you can create lots of shades with it. That's what I figured out at first when I bought just a few. I had only 10, and it worked pretty well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You can mix them together like watercolors and stuff. They blend together really well. So if you have yellow, for example, and blue, you can create your own green, which I did for the longest time. I didn't have greens. And same with purples, same with oranges.
I think when you're learning too, that kind of can make it a little easier. You don't get overwhelmed with a lot of different color.
Yeah. So that's what I do on his eyes. I go a little bit with the purple, the very bright purple.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give that a try. This is where I really should be using my separate piece of paper to see what's going to happen. We're just going to go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
work.
I combined the Y13 and BV00. And you can also use warm grays if you want to do like a little bit of the shadow area, which gives it a little bit more like a 3D feeling that it's an actual eyeball.
Yeah, that worked so well.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, and I think it's time to move on to colored pencils.
All right.
Okay. Oh, just a bit more over here.
What's the hardest part of the anatomy to draw for you?
For me?
Yeah, it's an open question, I guess, for both.
Oh.
For all yous.
Backs.
The back, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I guess knees are difficult.
Knees,
to
yeah.
figure out what's going on over there.
Knees, backs, feet.
Feet. I heard feet a lot, yeah. What about you, Eric? You there, Eric?
Another figure.
Oh, sorry. I had you off there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so you're ready for colored pencils?
Ready.
Awesome. Okay. Whoops. All right. Okay, so colored pencils. So do you have pinks?
Yep.
Great.
I'm digging through my tin here. This is why I sound far away.
Oh, we lost Bella.
Oh no.
Well, I'm sure she'll be
back.
back in just a second. Should be no problem, I hope. Fingers crossed, everybody. We might end up having to do the colored pencils and everything else in a different stream anyway.
This is volume 1.
This might be volume 1. I'm sure she'll be able to get back in. Okay.
What size paper is this?
The one I've got here, this is a 9 by 13. Is that right, Eric? You think?
9 by 12?
That looks like not a number. Oh, on arches. I think
Yeah.
they do a 9 by 12. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
One Mighty R says part 2, cool with me. So at least One Mighty R's. It's not going to kill us if we have to do another.
Let's see if Bella's messaged me on Instagram.
Her phone died.
Ah.
It's charging. She'll be back up in a sec.
Okay.
David's doing exactly what I'm trying to do. I don't know if Bella's going to go in that way. I don't think so. I'm trying to rescue as much as I can.
Yeah, try and get it while she's gone.
Yeah.
This is the worst because since she's not here, I'm just rolling with it, and I'm going to end up making all the same kinds of mistakes I did when I started. But it is what it is. So I'm just going through and doing all my rim light.
You're just working outward in?
You sure?
No, so there's no rhyme or reason?
There's actually, and I hate to, whoops, got too much stuff on my desk. It's starting to drop off. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I just don't know what I'm doing. So there is kind of no rhyme or reason. And she has such a beautiful approach to her lighting. And it made sense to me, actually. When I saw her doing it, I feel like I understand it enough. I could try it. And so I'm disappointed that I didn't with this one. So I'd like to try again. And I will say the colored pencil for me is not going on 100% the best.
Going on kind of chalky and splotchy, right?
Yeah. Now, that's always a solvable thing. What I would do is I think if I really wanted my colored pencil to go on stronger, I would just do the watercolor first and then just resurface it with ultra matte medium and an airbrush.
Dan is asking, Dave, you laid down black ink before the color, question mark. Is that ink or black Copics?
That is ink. That is ink. And this is where I end up. This whole picture is going to just end up being colored pencil.
Yep.
I get so obsessive with it. Next thing you know, I can't let it go. And
Hadi says, hey, Dave, it's Hadi from Storm the Block. I always miss watching your streams and watch them afterwards while drawing. But I'm glad I finally got to caught it live for once. Awesome stuff as usual.
Well, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much for coming by. It's great to see you here. I went to Storm the Block in
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah. I've been to Dubai also, and I keep thinking Dubai, but yeah, it was Abu Dhabi.
I'm back.
Right across. She's back. All right, and I had a great time. So it's great to see.
I'm
you
so
here.
sorry. I don't know what happened with the phone. Oh. My apologies. My phone had 100%, and all of a sudden it just died.
Oh, that's all right.
Never
problem.
Okay, now it's charged and it's connected to the charger, so I don't have to worry about it.
We're live. That's
I
how
apologize.
it goes.
Okay. I didn't know that it takes so much from the battery. I had no idea. Okay. So, colored pencils. Are you guys ready?
Okay, I've been cheating. I've kind of already. Okay, let's go to your screen. We'll cut mine out because I'm not even doing what I should be doing right now.
Okay. No, I'm pretty sure you've done. Let me see. Looks great. Exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Blending, like what we have, and also making the highlights pop a bit more, so it have like this nice 3D feeling to it.
All right.
Okay. So I have them ready. Right.
Meanwhile, there's a question from Extreme asking, when I do colored pencil over alcohol markers, I dip the pencil in paint thinner to smooth it out. Do I dip the pencil in paint thinner to smooth it out? Question mark.
No.
Well, you're using watercolor pencils, so that wouldn't really be an issue. But if you're using the kind of colored pencils that I'm using here, and these are just regular colored pencils, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. I'll be fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. So no, I wasn't planning to use regular colored pencils for this.
I know.
Okay.
You can use alcohol to smooth them. I don't really find it's necessary though. You have a few colors that are similar, and they'll start to. You don't just hammer it into the paper. You kind of start to blend them together relatively lightly. Once you get a couple of colors, they actually really start to blend out, and will look utterly smooth very quickly. It's amazing how.
I think when Dave and I add watercolor, our water's just going to repel out of the picture. Huh?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm joking. I just think I'm having to use a lot of colored pencils. Oh, is that why you're using? Okay, I get it. No mind. That's why you're using watercolored pencils, because it's going to accept water.
Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna mix it with the water later on.
About that.
We're blowing this pretty badly, Eric. You know what? I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy with how it's coming out, even though I'm doing everything wrong.
I'm actually pretty impressed with how the colored pencil just works with the Copic.
Yeah, it really does.
There's a lot of good that's.
Is it wrong if it still comes out nice?
No, that's the point. If it looks great, it's not wrong. That's the point. So wait, David, you're using the oil-based colored pencils?
No, these are just plain wax-based colored pencils.
Okay.
They're not oil-based.
I guess that's a good point, Ben. Have you used much polychromos? Have you played with that? Polychromos and some of the oil-based?
The effect that is needed with polychromos or wax-based pencils.
Uh-huh. Do you like polychromos?
I like them. I have a set. I enjoy them. I just making the effect, like the painted effect, with mixing a little bit of water over the colored pencils layer.
Yeah.
And smooths out like the texture.
Yeah. Have you tried acrylic with watercolor pencils? That's kind of fun. I know Dave and I have played with that a bit.
It's pretty cool too.
I mean, instead of using water to blend them, you use acrylic.
Yeah, I've tried it.
Yeah.
Acrylic is incredible. You can just you can use it on so many different media.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about acrylic is once it's down, it's down. So you don't have to worry about lifting it.
And you can always go over.
Yeah, you can always go over it. So it's very versatile. It's very newbie forgiving.
Yes, it's forgiving, exactly. And you can fix with it if you need to.
Yeah.
Ash says these colors are popping so incredibly with the pencils.
Thank you.
So is Supercolor your favorite watercolor pencil?
The Carandash Supercolor?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredible. Also this one, the acrylic not acrylic, sorry. The Museum Aquarelle.
Oh yeah, those are great.
And also the Prismalo ones. They're less soft, but it's they're good for blending.
Henry was asking Bella, so you use a brush and some water to blend the colors later?
Yes.
And this is like right now we're okay. Once you go to that stage, Bella, we're gonna fall behind a little bit, but that's all right.
I can switch to Posca Markers. I mean, it's not.
No, it's so much more important that everybody watching sees how to do it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to. I don't think we're going to be able to blend with water, Dave.
Well, we'll see. We'll give it a try. It's not going to blend with water, but I do have watercolor, actual watercolor that I'm going to throw on there a little bit. So, and yeah, I would so much rather see you do it properly rather than mitigating your process to try and make it work for the way we're messing it up. It's not the point of what we're doing here.
I mean, it's not really messing it up. It still looks great. Just certain effects, they will be different.
Yeah.
Actually, Dave, if you wanted to go with the watercolors, I think the wax in the colored pencils, it will reject the watercolor over it. So you can leave it for the suit and for the hand, like without the colored pencils there.
Okay. So you're right, Eric. It will.
Yeah, I think it's going to skate across. I think if we have pigment in watercolor, it's going to look really strange. It's going to settle into places where there isn't wax, and it's going to mottle.
Okay.
Yeah, the wax, it creates a sort of barrier between the paper and the water.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, it's definitely better to know that before I do it than.
Yeah, I thought about it for a second because I've tried it before and I was like, hey.
So we also have the FW. We want to use some of that, Dave. The FW white, right?
Yes.
Well,
did you use that? I guess you use that after your watercolor. Is that right, Bella?
Yeah, I use it at the end. I do it for mostly.
Gotcha. Dave and I have airbrushed with this stuff, and this stuff's amazing.
Ooh, that's cool. I've always wanted to try airbrushing.
I think you would do really well with it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it complicated? What do you guys
No,
have?
it's actually, it can be if you want it to be, but for mixed media, it really is. You don't need to be like a crazy good airbrush artist to do multimedia with an airbrush. You can,
Oh, nice.
you can get to where you want to be really quickly.
Yeah, the biggest challenge of an airbrush is just cleaning the airbrush, and it's not so hard when you get the hang of it.
And you don't need a crazy expensive one either. You don't need, you don't need a Micron or anything crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Having said that, there's some that you may want to avoid. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys see it well?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah, the reflections in that you have going is just incredible. Just the multicolor
Thank you.
highlights on the hair. And
This is where I'm kind of going back in because I just overpowered everything in the beginning. This is like painting, basically painting back in my lights.
Oh, are you using Posca Markers already?
Well, yeah, because
Nice.
I couldn't go any further otherwise.
It's looking great.
We Copicked ourselves into a corner. Actually, we colored penciled ourselves into a corner.
It's all right.
But like Dave said, I definitely want to see how you use the watercolor in conjunction.
Yeah.
With what you've done.
Well, to me, it already looks so finished, and we're looking at the wrong picture. There. It looks finished. Like, it looks incredible. It's hard for me to know what you would do to...
Mine is.
Yeah, like...
Oh, thank you. I'm not finished yet. I need to add some final highlights first, and some some highlights to his teeth and eyes. I want to make it glow like his eyes just a little bit. Use the mechanical sharpener sound. I'm sharpening my pencil for a second.
All right.
Yours is actually really quiet compared to ours.
Oh, really?
Sounded like the dentist.
Yes, a little bit. I don't know how I worked before that. Before the electric sharpener, I used to sharpen all the pencils at once, and it took forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Stone Ages.
Really. It's like a job unto itself.
Oh, yeah, because it takes so much time for each pencil. I'm thankful to have this one. So, let it go. So the point of the colored pencils is also to create a better blending for some colors.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. You can blend the Copic as well as the watercolor later.
Yeah. And on certain areas, I also leave the colored pencils effects, like on the clothes and stuff like that. I actually like it that it has the texture.
There's a super chat from Dan saying, "Wow, such an amazing guest. Appreciate you all."
Dan Castelli, good to see you here, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cass is asking, when will a new video upload, I guess, be uploaded for making comics?
It will be, I want to say by Monday. I'm editing it right now, actually. It's almost done. I mean, the video is done. I just need to finish editing. So, yeah, that's going to be really, really soon. Actually, I'll show you guys. Here, take a look at it. Hold on. Dig through the mess on my desk here. So here's some of the drawings. It covers a lot of Bridgman. The next section, the next video. And another one over here. And some more stuff over here. So anyway, so this is some of the stuff that I drew for the video. It'll be coming out, I would think, by Monday. It shouldn't take too much longer to put together.
Mike Montgomery says, "Bella, after watching so many of your Instagram feeds, it's a joy seeing it live."
Oh, thank you. Yay.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, I just saw it in delay. The drawing that you showed for your video. They look awesome.
Ooh, thank you. It's all Bridgman. I don't know if are you familiar with George Bridgman?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Studied him really well.
Yeah. He's so much of what I know how to do is really from Bridgman.
Oh yeah, his books are incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, in order to part of Bridgman is knowing how to use Bridgman. So I'm really excited to see that there because it can be pretty daunting just looking at his book, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So knowing how to break it down and how to utilize it, it's going to be great to see.
Dave Ross is asking, hi Dave, wondering why you changed the highlight color from orange to pink.
Because this is the Posca that I have.
Okay.
That really is why. It's the only color I have.
Oh,
Not the only color, but the only color that's similar. So I'm just kind of rolling with what I got.
Yeah, Bella, that's turning out great.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Are you guys trying to do a hard stop at 4?
Well, no, but I
Just a heads up. No worries if not, but that's the 9-minute mark, and just in case.
no, I don't want to just hard stop it, but at the same time, I've got the boss upstairs who's gonna shut me down. We've got
Horses to feed.
yeah, horses to feed and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Sounds fun. Feeding the horses.
Yeah, they're all pretty nice. I've only been stepped on a couple of times.
Oh no. It actually happened to me. I went to a farm when I was a teen and a large horse stepped on me. It was very difficult to move it because it was it didn't like me from some reason.
So it stepped on you and then just didn't even get back off. That was it.
Yeah,
Just
just stayed, and then the owner had to come and push the horse because he didn't want to move.
wow.
Wasn't
Okay, yeah, I've never been stepped on like that. That's rough. Oops, drop more stuff.
cues and
Trent says Dave has an impeccable instincts as an artist, whether he's trying a new medium, technique, or approach. His end result is always a high level and always a step above the rest.
Oh, Trent, thank you so much. You're too nice. I really
Anthony says Bella's definitely reminds me of Marvel Masterpiece cards from when I was a kid.
Yeah. The kind of art that, I was afraid for a little while that it would die out. Everything was going very digital and it seemed like the trends were really changing, and that's really reversed itself. And I think that's really a result of what the fans are looking for. Fans want, the kind of authentic art you get here from Bella.
oh, I love the cards art from the 90s. Absolutely.
Yeah. Jusco and Boris and Julie.
Oh wow. They did such fantastic work.
Yeah.
I actually have a vintage set right in front of me, which I opened a couple of weeks ago. So cool. I think it's Adam Kubert's pencils and artist who did the CGI effects. I don't know what is that, but it's just incredible.
Is every card like chrome? I think so, right?
I think so.
Yeah, those were the first digitally colored cards.
Nice.
Yeah, the CGI says Jung and Adam Kubert's.
Huh.
So cool.
Great.
Yeah, I saw the originals to those. They're all, pencils.
Wow. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, Adam Kubert, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's one of my biggest influences.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of his work. His brother, Andy Kubert, Joe Kubert, their dad.
Yeah.
And I always, when I think of the Kuberts, I have such a habit. I always think of Lee Weeks. They're very different, but there are so many similarities, and it's like a school of art that I'm a huge fan of. Kind of lump them together. Maybe that's not fair.
I love all the artists that you mentioned. They're just wonderful, and there's so much to learn from them. I actually got so many years ago a portfolio review from Adam Kubert, and it was very helpful to know what to work on. It was very encouraging to know what my mistakes were at the time
Mm-hmm.
and how to fix them.
It's the hardest thing. Everybody wants to show their work to an editor, and understandably, but finding somebody that can point out what you need to work on and like a strategy for improving is the most valuable thing.
It is. It truly is. Okay, so right now I'm gonna do that cool effect with the colored pencils.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use a fine brush and a little bit of water. My brush is right here. So what I'm doing is I always some paper nearby, and I put just a tiny drop of water on the pencil itself, and I mix it a little bit. You don't need too much water for it.
What happens if you use too much water?
Nothing. It just the pigment gets very diluted, so you don't get much of the pigment itself from the colored pencil.
Okay.
So it's. I mean, I want to get a very dense, like a opaque kind of feeling from the pencil.
Yeah.
For the highlights. So I'm trying not to use a lot of water for it. But later on, when I'm blending the colored pencils, I can use more water and less pigment. Or not to do this, just like go with water over the painting. And then I go and just tap it a little bit.
It intensifies the color too.
Yeah.
Seems like.
It's you could do it with acrylic too, but what I like about the doing it with colored pencils, you can blend it with water into the existing layers already. And with acrylic, it would just dry up as it is.
Yeah.
So you can, it's not like with oil painting, but it's similar. Like you can reactivate the colors. They don't get fully dry.
Wow. I think there are a lot of artists that use Copic Marker that are going to be jumping on trying what you're doing right now.
I hope so. It's so cool to do it. It's fun too. I'm gonna do it on his hand as well.
Because this is what. Do you still find that the paper is accepting water very well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
what's incredible with the arches. You
Yeah.
can do so many layers of different mediums on it, and it's still fine.
There's a question. Any tips on using Poscas? Mine are always hesitant to flow or spilling much too fast.
You got to move very deliberately and fast with them.
They're like painting with acrylic, but worse.
You need to shake them very well, and you need to also have like this kind of piece of paper on it to clean the tip sometimes. Oh, the pigment will be clear.
Gollum asks, does this only work with certain types of colored pencils?
This?
Yeah.
With colored watercolor pencils only.
Yeah, I must admit that was lost on me until I realized that you were putting it down and then doing watercolor over it. Not the reverse. I thought we were going to do watercolor and then colored pencil. That makes so much sense, and the results are amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I definitely want to try it with watercolor.
I'm sorry, what?
I definitely want to try it with watercolor pencils in the future.
Yes.
So
Well, you can see just how effective it is.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, with watercolors, I'm saving it only for the background.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Are you guys putting backgrounds on this?
Yeah, just the watercolors and the FW. The watercolors part is very quick. This part takes the most time. I mean, coloring the figure.
Sure, yeah.
Mighty says, Bella attending the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. That looks amazing.
Thank you so much.
He also said, I like seeing David's work on his art. It motivates me when I'm in a slump.
Yeah, I definitely have my go-to artist that, you know. And there have been times lately I've felt kind of slumpy. So
Well, everyone does now. It's just part of life.
it is.
Life.
John Doe had asked the question, can you briefly describe the stages of doing the art? Where does it all start? I guess just wait. You can rewatch the video from the start once we're done, right?
Yeah, this will be easily rewatchable. So if you miss the beginning, you can. I think you could even actually just skip ahead or skip back right now. But if you want to stay with us, just come back and just watch it later on. The whole thing is going to be available.
Came out great, Dave.
Thank you, Eric.
Tomic is asking, would you have Danny Earls on?
I don't know.
Sure. Why not? Do you know his work?
No.
He's, I think, a newer DC artist.
Oh, okay.
So he's done some Batman stuff. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. All right.
Should you tell them who else we've been working on getting for future shows?
No.
No. Okay.
We're gonna keep it a secret.
All right. Sorry, guys.
It's a secret.
Martin's asking, what's the brush you are using for highlights?
Martin, if you're asking me, I'll just tell you that I was using this thing here, which is a Posca.
Got to go down a little. You're out of frame.
Posca. It's a brush tip, and then you press down here, and it kind of releases ink or whiteout into it. I've never seen them before. I just found it when I went to the store today, so it's a new one for me. And
it's
what's that?
It's really cool. I have one too.
Yeah, it's like they come out with cooler stuff all the time. And you're using that's a watercolor brush?
Yeah, it's I think it's sable. It doesn't say so actually, but yeah, it's a watercolor brush. I'm just mixing the colored pencil with the tiny bit of water, not too much.
Just enough to get it to kind of move around and smooth out. And yeah, I can see though that there's a certain amount of with the Copic markers, you can't just go wild because corrections at this stage would be a little bit more difficult. Like you're not really going on super opaque.
Yeah, but you can. I mean, with these mediums, you can go over with a much more opaque layer. I mean, I didn't use that much of the colored pencil. I could go over it, and blend more, and use it. If I did a mistake or the opposite, I could just kind of.
Oh, there she is. Bella, can you hear us?
Oh, there we go. Internet hiccup.
Let's see. Someone asked when Monday Night Draw will return.
It's not something I'm going to be doing regularly, but I do have one coming up. I'm going to be drawing Goblin Queen. I don't want to say next week because I think we have a guest arranged for next week. Do we?
We do. Well, we do. It just has to be confirmed, I think.
Okay. So assuming we can confirm it. And if not, then I'll do Goblin Queen next week. Otherwise, it'll be, just vice versa. So we do have one coming. And Meredith's going to come and do that one. She doesn't know yet. Ooh. So, this could all blow up in my face, but we'll see.
Is Meredith going to draw too?
Yes. No, she's not going to draw. I won't do that to you guys. She is actually the worst artist on the face of the earth. I love her.
Jinx is asking, how do you visualize or get ideas to add more details to characters or background scenes?
I wait for Bella to do it and then copy what she does. That's why I'm leaving it alone this time. I'm not making the mistake of jumping ahead on the background.
Henry says, Bella also means beautiful, which also describes both you and your artwork. Thanks for being here and looking forward to your return to do the Predator. Thank you again. I think he wants a Predator.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Trent has a super chat saying, Dave, would you ever have Mark Schultz or Brom on your live?
Oh, well, of course. Sure.
Bella, is your audio off? We can't hear you if you're speaking.
It does seem like Bella's got no audio right now. So I'm not sure if you're aware, Bella, if you can hear us.
I'll send her a message.
Okay.
In the meantime, Rachlin asked, do either Dave or Bella have a way of knowing when they have overworked an image? I always seem to go too far.
Well, I'll say for my part that, yeah. And I always know once it's too far, which, yeah, it happens. I do find, though, if I overwork it, I can always kind of just push things back, especially with a painting. I can just use like a broad, sort of a muted color, and then start to bring things back out. That kind of helps sometimes. And then I have times where it's just all over.
Efren's asking, could you someday make Transformers Generation 1?
Maybe.
Do you like Transformers? Is that something that you liked? Like, were you into it when you were a kid?
Yeah. I was kind of just a little bit too old. Like when Transformers really got big, I liked it, but I wasn't really buying toys anymore. Drawing Transformers is a nightmare for me. It's incredibly difficult.
It's just all the parts and bits and pieces.
Yeah. So it looks like we're moving on to watercolor here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened with the audio.
But Bella, can you hear us?
So Bella, if you can hear us, we can't hear you right now.
I mean, I can do the commentary if you like.
Well,
Yeah, what are you doing right now, Jason? What are you?
So right now we're picking the colors we're going to mix, right? And we're just going to flop it on there haphazardly, just to see how it comes out. And then we do some of that Matteo Scalera tapping to give it the spray effect. And that's all. And that's it.
Eric, are you able to reach out to her and let her know that we can't hear her?
Yeah, I sent her a text, but I mean, if she's using her phone, what's
Bella says, "I hear you, but you don't hear me." She says it just in the chat here.
So she's not muted on StreamYard. She's not hard muted. She might be maybe muted on the phone.
Yeah.
It happened when there was that little glitch.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been quiet.
Might need to step out and back in, maybe.
Yeah, that would kind of be the option. It would either be first just check if it's muted on the phone. And if it is muted on the phone, then just jumping out and jumping back in, hopefully that would solve it. Cloud says, try to connect, restart.
Is it plugged in?
Control Alt Delete.
Turn it off and on again.
Control Delete. This is where we throw our artwork across the room. We were joking about that earlier. If you just came in now, I'm like being serious. We're not throwing artwork across the room.
Oh, that's very strange.
My side looked fine. I can refresh. Okay, so yeah, I think she's gonna jump out and come back in and see. And
I can hear you.
There we go.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some weird glitch earlier.
Yeah, I needed to refresh apparently, and that was it. Okay, yes. So I want to move on to watercolors. So
All right.
switch from the clipboard to this piece of wood because it's easier to just, as you can see, I already did it. Like I just go over the edges and I don't worry about it. Okay. So I'm using magic tape just to tape the piece to the board. Are you guys ready with your watercolors?
Yep, I'm getting there right now. So
Awesome.
as soon as you're ready to go, I'll be there with you.
Wonderful. Just taping the piece so it wouldn't move. How are we on the time limit?
Well, no one's yelled at me yet.
Okay. I heard my cat scratching my door, so I got yelled at, but I'm fine.
Henry says everyone's Nightcrawler looks great.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you. All right. Now I'm saving my Poscas for later, and I'll show you why right after the watercolors.
Okay.
Okay, and for this part, I recommend kind of a big brush and to have a piece of paper ready. Okay, can you see the entire painting?
Yep.
So also for this part, I'm using a lot of water,
Okay.
letting you know.
What color are you using, Bella?
And I'm gonna use pink. I'm using this pink permanent.
Permanent
Oh,
rose.
Okay. My big brush.
So you're not wetting the paper first, right?
no,
Okay.
you can if you want, but for this part, I'm walking very quickly with the brush. If you want, you can wet the background area just a little bit.
Oh no, I was just curious to see how you were gonna approach it.
I start from one area and I go quickly. I cover the entire space of the background.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun with watercolors.
Gotta kind of let it do what it wants to do, huh?
Hmm?
You have to kind of let it do what it wants to do.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I like about watercolors. You can also control them, and you can also just let them flow and see what happens. No, but I'm gonna do my best to control them because I want to give the best result that I can.
Well, and after putting so much work into the figure, you don't want it to just spray everywhere and make a mess.
Yeah, that's right. Also, as you can see, I'm going over the areas where the Copic marker is. I'm not too worried about it because the Copic marker doesn't smudge from the water. Okay, so now that I covered it, I can add a little bit more pigment.
There's a question for Bella. How long do your comic book covers take to create? On average, how long does it take you to create a cover?
On average, I would say around a week, maybe less. Also depends on the amount of figures and depends on the writer that I'm working with. Some writers they like a lot of changes, some don't. But yeah, on average, around a week.
Yeah, it's not fun when people want changes, but it's part of the job.
Yeah, I accept it. I'm not mad at it. It's fine.
I'm always mad at it.
I can understand. I can understand being mad. Okay. I mixed a little bit of purple with the pink.
All right.
And while it's still wet, I'm trying to do this cool effect.
this is actually where I can kind of go in and tone my figure just a little bit where I didn't have the right colors. So I'm doing it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can go over with watercolors. Okay, I'm switching to a smaller brush.
Unfortunately, you got a beautiful, vibrant background, and I don't have a purple quite so bright, but that's all right.
Oh, that's all right. You can also stick with the orange, which is pretty cool, because it gives an effect as if it's coming out from like this fiery scene.
Yeah, and I do actually kind of like it. So I always feel very zen when I'm doing this.
Right? Yeah, me too. I can get lost in this process.
Yep. And I like the freedom of just not knowing what's going to happen. No idea what's going to happen when I do something.
Oop, I just noticed I was muted. There was a question for Dave. Have you ever tried drawing an anime character like Goku or any other character? Would be cool to see your interpretation.
It would be fun. I've done a little bit. I did Guts, actually.
Oh,
You did.
I saw you had the Berserk shirt, so
You did Ryu as well, didn't you?
love
Yeah,
this.
you did.
did I?
Yeah, there was a Ryu, right?
Yeah.
But that's a video game more.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. But yeah, it would be fun to do some more of that stuff for sure. Absolutely.
Isn't Ryu considered manga?
Who's the? That was a Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
I guess we need a ruling on that.
I don't know. I don't want to piss anyone off.
I know.
I don't know either, so
I don't think it is, but
I don't think so, but who knows?
well, there you have it.
Okay, now I'm gonna dry this layer so I can add more. Oh, excuse the sound of the hair dryer.
I'll mute that for a moment.
All right. Good enough.
Okay, that's dry. So.
That's the first time I've used watercolors in 15 years, I'm sure, probably.
Really?
There you go.
Huh.
Can you see a wide shot, Dave?
It doesn't get any better wider.
No.
There's really nothing else to see.
Okay. All right.
Extreme AB says would not recommend with headphones.
Sorry. I can imagine it's not very pleasant to hear it in your eardrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of a dry brush. Whoops, dry brush effect, which I'm mixing just a tiny bit of water with the pigment that I already have, and I wanted to give it like a blurry.
So this is barely any water at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm mixing it directly with the watercolor, just a tiny bit of water.
All right.
Pepsi Cola says, Bella, please do more lives like this on YouTube. Your work is phenomenal. So cool to see everyone's process.
Thank you so much. I will try. Okay. I'm gonna dry it again. So once again, excuse the hair dryer sound.
Loudest keyboard of all time.
Say it again.
I said that's the loudest keyboard of all time.
Oh, sorry. I'll I'll mute that next. Try to multitask.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so for certain areas that need a little bit more blending, like next to his ear, I don't know if you guys see this area, for example, here and around the tail a little bit. I'm gonna go with the colored pencils.
Yeah, you could just augment the watercolor perfectly with it. It's seamless.
Yeah, the nice thing about that, you don't have to worry about tooth of the paper much as well. You can just blend it again with water.
Yeah,
Such a good idea.
it works incredibly well. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, the background looked great anyway, but yeah. Hey, Dan Lazard's here. He says, "So awesome, good to see you, Dan." And we're not late at night, so Dan's actually awake for this one.
Yay!
He's an early riser. Ash Casera Gonzalez says the speed at which she does this is something to aspire to. Yeah, this has been it's 4:28, and when you take away, you know, a little bit of talking beforehand and looking at the tools, it's really 2 hours. And look what you've got. It looks amazing.
Thank
Those
you.
eyes look like they glow. I mean, it's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So this is the first time in years that you used watercolors?
Yes. Now, I mean, I don't know how much you could call it using watercolor. Just threw it in the background, but I liked it actually. I can't get that kind of an effect any other way. It's got some depth to it.
Yeah, and it's so different from the marker that it looks like a background already. Like the
Yeah.
marker different kind of texture, and makes it pop. Like it complements each other.
It really does. Yeah, I'm my picture is a not what it should be. That said, I kind of like it. I like that, just a mixture of all the different, the Copics and the pencil. I need to get some proper pencils. I really think this is a great technique.
Thank you. I find it really fun. You can create so many different textures with it. You can draw like nature, you can draw like this glowy magical effects, buildings, everything.
Yeah. Well, things like buildings, I find a big reason why. Now, this is not the only reason, but one of the big reasons why I don't do oil painting, aside from being terrible at it. But buildings or hard edge things with oil paint are incredibly difficult to do, even with more thick acrylic. But with Copics, it's like the ideal combination.
Yeah, because with acrylics and oil painting, you have to be so precise. And on buildings, I find it difficult to maintain the line work underneath.
Yeah. Ash Casera Gonzalez says, "How is Eric doing?" How is Eric doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? I'm doing all right. I had to stop. I don't know. I don't have the red Copic. I would have liked to finish that off. But
Look at that background. That looks awesome.
yeah, I can't really zoom in too much.
Not
too much wider. Yeah, I would have. I'm kind of sad I didn't have the Copic for his suit.
Yeah, I love what you did with the background.
Do it with the watercolors.
Yeah, really
What's
good.
that?
She said it looks really good with the watercolors, and it.
Oh,
really
thanks. Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think it takes a bit of finesse for sure. But yeah, it's always fun. Definitely fun.
I can't believe how much yours came together. It looks really good, Eric.
The magic of colored pencil.
Well, hey, it worked. Very cool. And Ash Gonzalez says, "Love the background, Eric. That hair is looking cool too."
Oh, thanks, Dan. Definitely fun. I would definitely like to try this with colored pencil. Dave, you have those Faber-Castells, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely something worth trying.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, the blending that Bella's getting there is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Is there a point, Bella, where it just stops blending, or can you just keep going?
Yeah, there's a point where you've added so much colored pencils that you can't apply anymore, but you can always go over it with acrylics, which is fun.
Do you ever use fixative to try and seal it and carry on, or you just?
They don't sell this kind of fixative here, and also they don't ship it here because it can explode. I don't know.
Yeah. That's good.
So when I'll be in the States again, I'll make sure to, if
Yeah.
they allow me to bring it.
Well,
with
if
me.
ever you get an airbrush, what David and I do is we use Liquitex's airbrush medium.
Ooh.
And you can mix it with matte medium. And then when you spray it out of an airbrush, it's basically a fixative.
Really?
Yeah.
It works very, very well.
We do that a lot. If you get to a point where your tooth is flattened or you just can't apply more pencil, just do that.
Oh, that is very interesting. I should try.
For a few seconds and you're good to go.
Oh, cool.
And Raul and Antonio says, "Love it. Is there a way to protect the art for archival purposes if you wanted to sell the piece? Do you do a coating over it at all?"
I don't have the right coating here, so no. But they sell it I think in the US there's a mixed media fixative that you can use.
Yeah.
And for better protection, I mean, if it goes to be framed, a professional frame maker. They have this anti UV glass. They put a specific thing that is anti moisture inside the frame. So if you do it well and professionally, you can even protect it without the fixative.
Yeah. And just shoring up some of the shadow with some darker pencil.
Yeah, just a bit. Where I just noticed that there's isn't enough, so I'm adding a tiny bit, and I'm gonna move to Posca Markers now.
That hair is so good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Posca Markers, they're just awesome. They have so many cool glowing colors. It's just crazy. Okay. So I'm gonna use these and white Posca Marker too.
You have to be pretty brave at this stage too with colored Poscas, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I really like them. I feel braver with Posca Markers than with ink. I know it's
Really?
weird. Yeah. I can't really explain it. It's just feels more comfortable for me with color than
Well,
with
I
ink.
mean, you've at a stage where you've mastered them, so your comfort is
Right.
Yeah.
much as your imagination can.
Yeah, it's either you've mastered them or you just have nothing less to lose. You might as well just go for it. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so for certain areas that I see that got lost with the colors, I just go over it with just a tiny bit of black Posca. You can also use ink for it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Posca because it's so opaque.
Yeah.
It really is. It stands out.
Yeah, I don't know what's inside the pigment of this black Posca, but it's just incredible how opaque it is. Even comparing to regular ink. I'm using the Copic multiliners, which is basically like microns. Just
Yeah, basically the same thing. Fateful says amazing in lowercase because he wrote it in uppercase and the chat automatically kills that. So thank you, Fateful. So Rio says, I have an Ahsoka and Harley sketches from Bella. It's been incredible to see her grow as an artist these last few years.
thank you so much, Daniel. He's such a kind person. Yeah, I did an Ahsoka for Daniel.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think a Harley too.
Yeah, it was an Ahsoka and a Harley. Yeah. I have to admit the Posca at the end. This is not what I expected either. And now this is something I'm so much more familiar with, using
Posca?
a colored pencil and also just using pen to shore up the shadow.
Well, your
Because-
ambient, well, not your ambient, your, what do you call it? Ambient occlusion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just deepening all those blacks. That looks great.
yeah, it really does.
How do you guys like it? Thank you so much.
Yeah, it came out amazing.
Okay, time for the pink Posca.
So
Shaking.
Martin says that looks so cool.
Thank you.
Highlights are incredible.
if you have one of these lines kind of go off, do you just wipe it down quickly? What do you do to?
Yeah, I either wipe it down or just go over it again with some colored pencils.
Mhm.
And sometimes you need to go over the Posca markers twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Effect isn't it doesn't stand out enough.
Yeah. Especially the lighter colors for sure.
Yeah, I try to shake them really well, but sometimes the paper absorbs them a bit.
Rios is asking, do you all have a favorite character to draw?
Wolverine, Batman, Moon Knight, Daredevil.
Yeah. Daredevil.
I can't pick because I Spawn. You know, I like Spawn a lot. Any kind of angry or darker character for me. Bella.
Angry and dark, yay. Same here. I really enjoy the challenge. So I love drawing X-Men. I always have this like incredible energy. Like, it gives me so much inspiration. I love the stories. I love the animation. So for me, it's X-Men, and also any dark character like Spawn and Batman. And I enjoy drawing female characters too. So like I don't have just one favorite character to draw. So if you just give me all the X-Men, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too upset either. The X-Men's really what got me into comics originally.
Oh, that's awesome. What is your favorite story?
I guess I'm gonna have to go with the Phoenix Saga. That's the first one that I read, and that's what made me a comic fan. So, kind of have to go with that one.
Good story to choose.
Yeah, it was a great one.
I think Bella's gonna have some multiple bidders on this piece, huh?
Yeah, Michael B wants to know if this piece is a commission or if it's for sale.
This one, it will be for sale.
All right, there you go, everybody. And also, Bella has a YouTube channel, which you can see scrolling along the bottom of the screen, and an Instagram. Go check her out there. She's got a lot of great stuff on YouTube, and you can follow all of her art on Instagram and see what she's got coming up, and go back and look at a whole catalog of her work.
Thank you.
So Rio says Hickman's last run with X-Men was very good. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure if I read the last one
Do
or
you like
the one.
do you like House of M, Bella?
Yes. Wonderful. I recently read, I have it right here. Wait, this book.
I have House of X here. Yeah, I haven't read those yet. I have them, but I heard they're amazing.
Steve Urkel says, "Are we on the final touches?" And we are, Steve. Yeah, the color's all in. We got the background in, and now it's just the last step, which is just Posca to bring out some of the highlights and put in some of the darkest shadows. And that is a very cool drawing of Steve
That
Urkel.
was incredible.
Yeah.
This was mind blowing.
There's two. There's House? Is it Powers of X? Is that the other one?
Oh yeah, there are few. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think I don't even remember what goes first, but I read them and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, comic books are for nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That's why we're here.
Yes. Okay. So Posca, and after the Posca, some splattering effects.
One Mighty R says that counts as book of the week. That's right. I haven't done book of the week in a while, so now we got one. There you go.
Huh, cool. This was a great book.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see how you do splatter.
For splattering, I have actually a brush that is meant for oil colors, but I'm using it for splattering.
So there's a little fix right there. You just
A
went
fix?
in with a brush with some water to.
Oh yeah. I smudge the Posca. I do it
Mhm.
very often. It's a very cool effect, like you can see here, because the Posca is basically acrylic. So
Yeah.
sometimes to create, I don't know, to make the color pop more, because the Poscas have this incredible pigment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I keep a wet brush nearby, and I just
Oh,
I
yeah.
do it automatically, so I didn't even notice what she meant.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Actually, that's why it never occurred to me to try that.
Dave and I normally use our finger, and that's kind of sometimes you have to flip a coin to see what's gonna.
So Rios asked us if there is a. Sorry, asked if there's a writer you would love to work with that you haven't. For me, Stephen King. I'll work with Stephen King. That'd be great.
Ooh.
My favorite novelist.
Oh, Stephen King is incredible.
Yep. And Jordan Woodgate asks, Bella, have you ever been on any Marvel covers?
Not yet, but I'm really hoping that someday I will get the honor to do a Marvel comic cover.
Well, I'm sure it's coming soon. He also said that they're crazy if you haven't. And I have to.
Hopefully someday. If it will be an X-Men, wow. Well, I don't know what I'll do. I'll draw it, but I'll be so happy. I don't know how I will be able to sleep.
Yeah.
Too excited for days. Okay, now I'm moving on to this. Now for these bright colors, you have to shake them very, very well. Otherwise, the pigment just stays somewhere at the end of the marker. Aha, there it is.
This whole technique is not even something that would have been possible just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
These pens have only been out. The Poscas just the last 3 years or so have just taken over the world.
Yeah, before I think like 5 years ago, I used to do it just with acrylics, and it took so much longer to do it with a fine brush.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so cool that these acrylic markers exist. I would mix acrylic and I'll just go over it again and again with a fine brush, and it took so much time.
So Rios asks, may I ask what the process is to actually do comic book covers? I will just say the process is you'll get an email from your editor. It used to be a call. Every email's now. And they'll say, we need a cover for, whatever book. Are you interested in doing it? And if you agree to do it, depending on what they want, if they just, like if it's X-Men, for instance, they just say, we just like an action shot, and here are the characters that we'd like to have on the cover. And that makes it easy. Or if they have something more specific, they'll give you that specific thing. Then you turn in a layout or a couple of layouts or several, depending. Generally, I like to give them one option if I can get away with it. I don't want to have to do a million layouts. But and then it's just a matter of drawing the cover. You've already got it laid out. Bella, you laid out the color for this also just small, so you had an idea where you were going with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're doing something full color, I'd say that's probably a good idea. But you want to turn into your editor something that represents the layout you gave them, so you don't give them too many big surprises. They don't like that very much.
That could be funny, to do something entirely different.
Yeah, I've done it, and I had to apologize and say, look, I'm so sorry. It was the weekend. No one's there. I know no one's there. It just had to get done, and I just could not make it work. And they were fine. But it could have went badly.
Well, you do such incredible work. I'm sure they were okay with whatever you did.
Well, thank you.
Whatever you could do, they probably didn't even worry.
Well, what I ultimately did, I did in good faith, you know, and I did the best that I could, and I didn't break any. They do have rules. If you're curious, everybody, the rules are basically you really want to see characters from the front. They don't need to be fully frontal, but they need to be from the front enough that you don't just have their back to the reader. It's rare. I've seen covers, and you can get away with it, but generally they don't like that. And you want to avoid tangents, especially really awkward tangents, which can happen. You don't realize it, so you need to be very aware to make sure your characters aren't grouped in an awkward way. That's something to really look out for. And then I think that's it as far as like rules go. And then characters need to look like themselves. Like you can't draw a Spider-Man and make them huge and muscular. They don't take very well to that either.
I think even the fans would be weirded out by a huge and muscular Spidey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an important thing. It's not something that people talk about too much, but if you want to draw comics, there are a lot of different characters and they do need to look like themselves. All of my faces are the same, which is such a common thing for comic artists. I have one female face and one male face, basically. But that's not really the issue. It doesn't need to look like such an individual person as much as it needs to. Like Wolverine is stockier. He's a little shorter and he's more gruff looking. He's got, and all those things are a factor. So while my basic face is still pretty similar, as long as I get all those things, it looks like Wolverine. Cloud would like to know. I'm sorry?
I see the differences. I mean, when you do the different characters, I see differences between the faces.
Well, thank you. I mean, there are a little bit, but not a huge amount. It's really hard. I don't know many artists that aren't using reference that have really individual faces. It's pretty common to have them look pretty similar. Cloud would like to know if we can have a close-up later of the finished piece.
Yeah, of course.
All right. And I'm assuming that you guys will be able to see this on Instagram. I'll put mine up on my channel with my apologies. But,
Why apologies?
For how mine turned out.
Nah, it looks great.
Thank you. You can come back anytime.
I'd be happy to.
I'm assuming you'll put yours on. Did I already said that? Okay. What happens if it's an introduction to a new character? Are you given a characteristic, or is there a design asked Rios? What you get with the new character, you're co-creating that character. Like if it's a Marvel or DC character or whatever it is. And so you'll get a description from the writer of what they want that character to be, what their personality is and that kind of thing. And if they have some ideas about how they'd like them to look, they'll throw that in there too. And then, it's up to you to design a character and, hope that it lasts more than 2 issues.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah. It can be. The last time I designed characters that I really remember, well, for DC, I did a couple of Batman characters and they both died.
Oh.
So, yeah. You think, 20 years from now. And no, they're dead.
Oh, man. That's annoying when they do it, when they just kill off a character that you like.
Yeah. Well, at least these were characters that didn't last long, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Oh. Still cool, though.
Yep, still cool. I've created characters that have been in Marvel and DC comics, and even if they never made a movie or anything, still did it.
It's history. It's literally history.
Yeah, small piece of history. That looks great. really nice little highlight on the shoulder.
Thank you. Okay, we're almost at the splattering part.
All right.
How are you guys with the highlights and the postcards?
Now, I haven't really been working on mine for a while. I got to a point where I thought I should probably stop, and I just wanted to watch what you're doing and, take some of it in. There are times I think I really should not even be drawing. I'd much rather just watch what you're doing.
No, it's so cool to see the results, like how it unfolds.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
artists.
And you do get more, and you guys watching too, this, you get so much more out of doing it. Even in the places where you fall short, you won't know that you would have fallen short, or that there's something you don't know until you try it. So it's as much as I say I'd rather just watch than be doing it, I'd rather do it. I really would.
Yeah. Also, it's very interesting to see the results.
Mm-hmm.
Like your approach to a new method is very encouraging to people who haven't tried it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried a few methods that I thought were really interesting, but also I could tell right away, I know I don't have I think every artist, there are some artists who can do everything, I guess, but you have your natural kind of skill set. Like we had Erick Gist, and I'd like to have him on again. Hopefully we can have him, fairly soon. He's great. He's a good friend. When he paints, he's a tile painter, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
So he mixes color. He paints with oil or gouache, and he puts down exactly the right color and exactly the right shape in a stroke. And then he mixes the next, and it's incredible to watch. And I cannot do it. And I can't even see. I can't even imagine aspiring to do that.
Oh, that seems crazy. It's I think only a handful of artists can do that. Which method did you find that you're still using from the guests that you brought to your channel?
Ariel Olivetti, for sure.
Me too. Oh my god, wow. That
Yep.
stream was mind-blowing.
Yeah, he's so good. I got so much out of that, and so did Eric.
Yep.
Greg
Staples.
Yeah, and Greg Staples. Yeah, that was another. I mean, more than Dan DeSantos. Dan,
Incredible.
we haven't actually done like a full painting with Dan, but he did a color theory thing, and he's painted with us a couple of times, just even off stream, and got a huge amount from it. I just had Wayshak on. That was a blast. He was so good. And we had Brian Stelfreeze. Brian Stelfreeze, when he did a really interesting technique that it required like a fixative underneath, and you really had to get that right. And mine didn't really go quite. It wasn't terrible, but
I would say that's probably the most advanced in a way painting.
Yeah,
because you had to pick up. You put gouache down, and you had to use your brush to pick that gouache back up. And if you don't wait long enough or too long, there's a sweet spot where, and Brian knows when that is and how wet his brush needs to be. And
I'm watching you do that right now, and I need to try it. I know it'll work, but
with the brush.
Yeah, so I put down my Posca, and then I'm using my hand to try and wipe it. It never works out that great, but with a brush, like I don't know why. It's never occurred to me, Eric. Look at this. Well, you can't see it. It's not. So don't put it on the screen. That's fine. But yeah, it's working great.
Yeah, I think I discovered it by accident. I was like, oh no, I did a mistake. And then I tried to fix it with the brush, and I was like, hey, that could be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. This, Eric, is a way that you could also paint at conventions, like at the table a little bit.
Yeah. It's with the speed that what Bill is showing, and also the fact that it dries so quickly.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We are at just about almost 3 hours, and you guys have all stuck with us all through this, and I really appreciate it. You know, I always say I'm always so afraid of going over 2 hours because people just go, "Oh, I'm done," and check out. But I think I was wrong. You know, when we have something like this on the screen, we're keeping everybody here.
I'm so glad that everybody stayed and watched it throughout the entire process. So thank you so much. Also with the technical difficulties of my battery dying out and all of a sudden audio disappearing.
Everybody here is veterans. We've seen it all. The audience has seen it all. Things happen. It's live stream.
Yeah, I can imagine. I didn't expect the battery to die at all. I was so shocked because I charged my phone beforehand. It's so weird. Okay, I'm preparing the FW.
All right.
So what I'm doing, I'm mixing it with white and just a drop of the pink. And this is my splattering brush. It's supposed to be, it's really, it's old, but that's what I like about it. And it's
It looks
for
like hog. Yeah. Looks like hog hair.
Like stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very stiff. It's just for oils, and that's why it's so good for splattering. It gives this very nice. I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense.
Get it with the soft brush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I make sure that I dip it in water, just a tiny bit. And I check if it's too light, then I'm gonna add a bit more of the pink pigment, just a tiny bit. Do you guys see the pigment that I'm mixing?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the corner, but we can see it. When you're mixing it, it's blown out a little bit, but I think when you put it on,
Okay.
When you put a little shadow over it, I can see it.
All right. Okay, for this part, it's also important to keep some sort of a draft paper, just so you can cover the figure while you're splattering. So I have like this paper. You can make it more accurate and actually cut out the figure, but I'm all right with it being a bit rough because I will do some splattering on his figure as well in certain areas. Okay.
So this is more just so it doesn't spray all over his face and.
Yeah, just to cover the main figure area.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be very accurate unless you really want it to be.
Well, I've done that before where I've gotten frisket paper. Both Eric and I have done it and cut it and there for an hour. And,
You can do it. I mean, it's even better if you cover the figure properly. But since it's Nightcrawler and he's coming out of this like effect, then I think it would be cool to have some of the splatter on him.
Yeah, puts him in the environment just a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's in the environment. Don't it sound like an insult. That's not how I meant that. You know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean.
All right.
Okay. And to the splattering parts. I would recommend always to check the splattering to see how it looks and see if you have control over it. But since I've done it so many times with this brush, I feel
I'm shocked at how well that works.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You
So
can
much
also
better than using a toothbrush.
Yes.
Yeah. Because a toothbrush has also very, very how do you say it? Brisk hair, not soft. I don't know.
Yeah, I've made a lot of mess with toothbrush. It works, but
It works well. Okay. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. I don't always go crazy with the splatter at first. I see where I can add more, where I can add less. And I want to add a bit more over here. And a bit over here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Got some on his ear, but that's all right.
Ash Gonzalez asks, have you ever used Frisket to cover your painting when you're splattering? I'm always scared it's going to pull up pigment.
It does pull up pigment. You got to be so careful.
Yeah,
No,
I've had
I
that happen.
tried it. Did you guys try it?
Yes.
There's a few things that can go wrong. Some are worse than others, but one of them is pigment pulling up. Another one is the glue from the Frisket stays on your paper.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you paint over it, it becomes almost like a secondary Frisket, and then that starts. Yeah, it's fraught with peril. You can use a hairdryer to pull it up, but I've never really got it to work very, very well.
So you're painting in some larger kind of particle effects.
Yes. You can also use the back of the brush and dip it into the liquid acrylic and just go over certain areas if you want like a perfect circle.
Huh.
Do you ever use liquid Frisket?
Liquid Frisket. Huh.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Have you ever used that?
No.
Okay.
I actually recently tried this glue pen that is supposed to kind of be like a masking thing that you can pull, but it didn't work, so I threw it away. I didn't like it at all. It the glue just didn't want to come out, so I had to go over it with acrylic. It ended up looking cool because it gave it a very interesting texture. But then I said I will never use that thing again.
Just that little bit of splatter really gives the background so much extra dimension.
Yeah, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy to make it look like it's alive without some effort. Okay. Now for this part, I let it dry just a little bit, and then I will go over it with the hairdryer. I'm not going over immediately because the hairdryer can make the liquid acrylic just smudge, because it's very, very liquidy. And after this part, when these splattering effects get dry, to make them look kind of glowy, I'm using the colored pencil around it, and it will make it a little bit glowy. So
Just to soften them out just a little bit.
yeah. Soften
Well,
them.
I think we're gonna have to end it here. I really apologize, but
That's all right. Almost done.
so I think while that one dries, I think we'll wrap this one up, and it looks absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was really great. I had a great time with it. I'm excited to try. So we have watercolor pencils, Eric, and
Yeah.
yeah, I need to get those things back out and try that and try some of the techniques that we did here. This was a real blast.
I'll
So
be
wait.
curious to see how you do this effect with the water and the colored pencils, because it
Yeah.
reminds of oil paints just a tiny bit.
Yeah, all the blendability. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful work. It really speaks for itself, what you did there. It's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Bella, for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks for
Thank you
spending so
so
much
much
time
for
with
having
us. This is really, a start to finish, every step of the way, no secrets. This is how Bella does what she does. And it's a huge treat for us to be able to see it in its entirety like that. So thank you. And thank you to all of you guys watching. And
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
all
Yeah,
right.
great. Thanks for showing us. Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. We'll see you guys soon. Everybody have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Have a great weekend.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.